Right, let's try this again. Third time lucky. This is Tryzub Radio UA. Let's see if this is going to work now. First base had music on that I couldn't get rid of. Don't know where it came from. Second space, just a minute or two ago, just crashed on me for no reason whatsoever, and booted me out. And then I realised it booted everyone else out as well. So third time may be lucky. I can see you, Andrea. I can see you, Beast, as well. Welcome. Just wait for Laura to try and come up. I might have to send her a message, telling her I've restarted. There we go. So if anyone wants to come up and give me a bit of company, well, we'll get Laura up and then just request and stuff like that, and we'll get that sorted out. Just waiting for Laura to appear. It's been a busy day for news all around. Terrible things happening in Australia. Obviously quite a lot going on with Ukraine today as well, which is our main focus. President Zelensky's in Germany. Got requests. I think I've got requests. I thought I had requests then, and they disappeared on me now. Oh, Laura, I can see you in speakers now. Brilliant. Let me make you co-host, and let's give that a go. I can't see any more requests. Laura, are you there for third time lucky? I don't know what happened with that second one. It just died on me.
That was real. Yeah, and Boca was super helpful. If they messaged and sent, they were saying that something, it gives like a message about instability that we've seen in other spaces too. But
Okay.
hopefully it's good. I'm seeing some kind of weird lockup on this end that I don't know if it's related or not, but where things kind
Yeah.
of start going slow. But thank you so much for everyone for coming. So nice to see you all, Andrea, Patrick. And is that Beast? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming back.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. We'll sort out the title and the nest and all that kind of stuff. I was just making sure it was kind of stable, Laura. I wonder if it's because normally kind of a host on my laptop and then talk on my account, on my Shaggy account on my phone. Maybe I need both connections on at the same time. So I'm just gonna host from I'm just gonna talk from the Tryzub account rather than log on as Shaggy. So I'm a pretend co-host at the moment. I've upgraded myself to host from co-host, and your co-host. Lovely.
That sounds good. Yeah, whatever you think works. Yeah, because it appeared to just kind of disappear. I gather a lot of people have been having trouble, so I don't think we're alone in this too. Thank you.
Yeah. I was checking some of the pro-Ukraine accounts. I normally check them on Space Spacemonger or wherever it is, Space something anyway. Space's dashboard, that's the one. And I could see that a few of the pro-Ukraine radio shows, as it were, kind of had multiple sessions, 2 or 3 or even 4 sessions, where they obviously either had to restart or got booted and therefore restarted Space. So yeah, Twitter, as usual, a few Twitter bugs, but we're kind of used to that. Chat's broken, basically, isn't it, Laura?
I do feel like we're just having to keep kind of enduring, just push through, just keep going. But some things seem to improve, and then you kind of get more confidence and realize, oh, it's still not working. But I feel like, I'm grateful, we can still talk to all of you and hear from you, hopefully. But yeah, equally, there's some issues for sure.
Yeah. I'm just going to create a live now post since we've been up for a couple of minutes, and it hasn't broken yet. So I think we might be okay. So I'm just going to create that now. So give me a minute or so.
I was trying to do one too. If you'd like, I can do one if you wanted to do your headlines or whatever you like also.
Yeah, I'll do it. Then we can retweet it from me. Then I'll stick it in the nest.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, that's a nice little GIF. I've got a GIF for it now as well. So there we go. We can stick it. I'll post that now. Hopefully, I've got that right. Yeah, I haven't done space for a while. I might have forgotten what I'm doing now, Laura. Dear me.
No, you know what you're doing always. Should
Yeah.
I do a timestamp or are we good? Should we do timestamp or no
Yeah.
timestamp?
Yeah, why not do a timestamp? And I've just created a live post, which I'll stick up in the nest as well, so people
Okay.
can check that out.
Okay, again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Today is Sunday, December 14th, 6 p.m. in, excuse me, 6:17 in Kiev, 4:17 in the UK, 11:17 in Eastern Standard Time, and 8:17 Pacific Standard Time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Laura. Um, right then, so first topic. I'm just going to pop this up in the on the nest. Actually, it's Rebecca Makierowski. I think I've got that name right. Rebecca's film that she's in. So I'm going to share that to the space now. I know you watched it. You said you watched it like not that long ago, Laura. What are your thoughts on the film overall and the people involved, basically?
They did a wonderful job, and I had to listen to, I think she pronounces her name Masharowski. I'm going to double check, but I had to do it kind of phonetically. Masharowski. I think Rebecca Masharowski is how you say her last name. And she did, I mean, she's just superb. And the other people they feature are amazing. They're just, it may be for a lot of the people listening, like it's things that we're aware of in Ukraine. And I think particularly for people who haven't been following or don't understand what's happening on the ground, it might be particularly impactful too. So I think that could have a lot of impact on just giving people who aren't as aware a good gateway and bridge to understanding just how dire things are also, and for the people involved. But I think people would love it. It's only 17 minutes long, like not including the credits, and it's already received, I think, quite a few awards and recognitions, nominations for film. It looks, yeah, I'm really glad it's getting more attention too. But in its, yeah, there's the YouTube link. Yeah, they're such remarkable people. It is sad. I won't give things away, but it's sad. But I think it's something that I think particularly when you see it, you'll think, yeah, this is good. This is out there. Anyone who's here has already seen it, they may have thoughts also on what they thought. But I thought it was great. The way it was filmed was very beautiful too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it'd be kind of good if people could come up and talk about it. Also, obviously, Becca's continually fundraising. She doesn't get on the internet as much as she wants, and Philip normally sorts out fundraisers for her. But yeah, if anybody wants to donate to Becca, obviously, just go to her profile in that link that's up in the nest and click on the profile, and in there you'll find her link tree, which will give you lots of different ways to get Wonga to her, so she can buy usually medical supplies and stuff like that for her guys. So that'd be really good. I want to mention a few fundraisers today. Obviously, Coast of Life, Doshka Foundation, and lots of others. There's the Windy and the Root Dar people. Which is kind of both her things. She raises funds for cats and dogs, and yeah, Coast of Life. Obviously, with Trench Candles, we've interviewed them a couple of times, and nets and stuff like that. They're in Odessa, so we're going to be talking about that a little bit later as well, because obviously they're trying to make French candles in Odessa, and there's no electricity and power or even water there today because of Russian strikes. So that's not great, but they're still carrying on, and people are still volunteering to go there. We had Marv the other day for an interview, well, maybe not the other day now, maybe a few weeks ago now, Laura, for an interview about volunteering with Coast of Life and the SEALs in Odessa. And then we got lots of other fundraisers we can talk about as well. And then we can get on to, well, not in any particular order, we can get on to geopolitical news as well. So obviously, what's happening in Ukraine. Ukraine's struck a few more, what do you call it, oil refineries last night, and lots of stuff has gone on in Ukraine. But Laura, are you there? I just saw your hand in the air. I don't know if that was our secret code we haven't actually sorted out yet.
No, that's right. That was supposed to be the wave, right? I know we heard this from another space that was helpful, but I know Milo is here. And Milo, do you want to talk about your fundraiser, if that's okay too? This is Milo's first fundraiser too. It's someone they know in Ukraine.
Oh, excellent. Oh, excellent. Miley, get up here and talk about your fundraiser and shove it in the nest as well. So, while the nest isn't kind of a free-for-all type thing, we're going to put a hell of a lot of fundraisers in there, that people who come up, and we know most people who come up to these spaces. Oh, hang on a second. We'll see a request. There we go. There we go. Milu's back up. Milu went on a long trip back home a week or two ago. So hopefully, I don't know if that worked, Milu. Oh, yeah, I can see you now. I can see you as a listener with your hand up in the air. So that's weird. Anyway, it's Twitter bugs. Hi, Milu.
Hi guys. Good morning for me. I mean good evening for you guys. Thank you for letting me in. Yes, I'm running up my first fundraising for a soldier and then he's on Instagram. He have been impersonated for so long, but this is the real one. You know, my friend, she was my teacher. She reconfirmed that in one of the posts, and then she replied, this is a very fine young man and he suffered a lot and he have a lot of wisdom. He's still doing amazing things, so many different things. They, beside being snipers, they, put in mines around to catch the Russians invaders. They use drones, different kind of drones. So their car is near repair. So that's my first fundraising. He's moving a little slow, but he's moving. I spoke with him yesterday and he said yes, and starting to receive more money. So pretty soon we're gonna close the fundraising because they didn't ask too much money. So, but please, if you see my post, if you see the pictures of him, my post, just repost it, support it. They need help. Thank
Yeah,
you, everyone.
Milu, do you know how to put a post in the nest? Because if you do, you can stick it up in the nest.
Yes, I will do that.
Yeah, shove it up
Give
the
me
nest. Yeah,
give me a second.
yeah, no worries. I had a look at your timeline, but I couldn't see anything obvious, so I didn't want to put the wrong one up there. So, mind you, a fundraiser is a fundraiser, isn't it, really? But I wanted to put your one specifically that you're concentrating on at the moment. Laura, any comments on that? I'm conscious to go back to Laura just to make sure, one, so she can make a comment, and two, to make sure her microphone's still working. Laura.
Thank you. That's a good technique. Excellent. Thank you. Oh no, it's amazing. Like, cause I think Milu is doing the fundraiser and I was just checking on Nicolette's too. She had started a fundraiser and I mean, there's so many too. We all see them, of course, that, I'll check if Nicolette's is closed to see if it's still going, but I think that was also her first fundraiser. So I'm so impressed people are able to do this, to contact and make that connection. That seems amazing. Thank you.
I
Yeah.
posted.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. You can't see yet. It'll be up there. It'll get up there in a second. Excellent, excellent. So how was your trip back, Milu? It's a long trip from what I saw on your feed. Milu, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh yeah. So how's your trip back and everything?
About the fundraising?
No, how was your trip back? Because you left Odessa and went home, didn't you?
I didn't catch you.
I was just wondering how your trip back home was, because I know you left. I think, did you leave Odessa or not? Oh no, that might have been somebody else actually.
You mean here in the United States?
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually sorry. I'm actually getting confused with somebody else who kind of did some volunteering in Odessa with Coast of Life, and then went home. And it was somebody else. I'm having one of those brain fart moments, Milu. I'm trying to multitask here. I'm trying to get all my
Yeah,
posts,
I know.
I'm trying to get all my posts sorted out. I'm trying to get the next sorted out, and I'm going around in circles doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I do the same thing sometimes, especially with my mind. I have so many things right now, you know. I have a special needs son, and he developed sleep apnea. So I'm in a very long row with him to teach him how to use the mask because in the middle of the night he take it out the mask. And it's very important that he use it because his condition is very severe. So, sometimes in my mind I have so many things. I feel the same way. So,
It's like, yeah, I mean, my excuse is I'm a bloke, so I'm not good at multitasking, and I'm sticking to that. Apart from when I am good at multitasking. But that's my get out clause, apparently, being a bloke. I can't multitask. I'll try my best. Laura, how are you at multitasking?
Oh no, it's bad. I mean, and I don't know if other people are feeling it recently. Like I've mentioned before, kind of like stress around the holidays, and I think a lot of us are feeling it, and just what's going on in Ukraine and the rest of the world. I'll do it as well as I can get it together. I was going to post just a mental health thread, just if anyone's struggling, if they know anyone struggling, just that this can be a hard time of year, and I'm really grateful you all are here. But thank you. No, I'm okay. The same. I think a lot of us may feel kind of spread thin, but I think it now just, I think is such a critical time to do anything we can for Ukraine and anything we care about. But yeah, definitely. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. All right, I can't see your post in the nest, Milu. I can see, a couple I can see four, and I just put up a couple more, two more from Beefeater, actually. I can see Beefeater down there, so he just reminded me to go to his account, stick a few of his stories, articles up there, the news that he's brought to the rest of Twitter. And don't forget, if you can, give Beefy, some support with buy him a coffee or something like that, because he works every day on this, very similar to, Tim White and lots of, there's a handful in my view of very good informative posters on Twitter, and Beefy's one of them, basically. So hello, Beefy. Thanks for your articles. There's a couple of articles I've put up in the nest. We can talk about in a little bit. Australia, Australia, sorry. Ukraine Defense Forces struck the, Afipsk, Afip, Afipsky. There we go. The Afipsky refinery. There's a couple of refineries which have been hit now. Also some electronic warfare stations, radar stations. The last night there was quite a few drones around, and quite a few Russian targets got hit by the Ukrainians, which is very, very good. Haven't seen any close footage of the Afipsky refinery yet to see which exactly part of it got hit. But I'm sure that's going to be out in the next couple of days. But it was definitely good news getting some of those electronic warfare stations as well in occupied Donetsk, and various things like that. So that was good. And even in the Zaporizhia region as well, there was a strike carried out on a Tor air defense system as well. So that boosts the numbers a little bit. The numbers this morning from yesterday that I saw were a little bit lower than the previous 3 or 4 days, which were around about 1,400s of Russian killed and wounded in action. Today was around about 800, I think, things like that. So that's going well from treating the Russians' point of view. Plus, the other day, well, what do you think about President Zelensky trolling Putin, Laura, by going to Kupiansk the other day? Are you there, Laura?
All right. I'm sorry. I was trying to get the ISW report up. Thank you. I think people were really inspired by that too, of like, and that man just like does not fail to amaze, I think, the world. And I mean, I saw, some of the pushback from Russia, trolls of, oh, it was fake or something, but I don't think many people really doubt. I think they think it was real, and it appears to be real. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it definitely appears to be real to me. I think it's gone quite well. Some of these things are done for the optics. Some of them are done because he wants to go and see the troops there and give support to the Ukrainians that are fighting and stuff like that. But purely from I don't know what it feels like to the Ukrainians, seeing their president headed near the front line. I'd be quite okay with that. But I'm not going to speak for Ukrainians on this, but I can speak for what it looks like, from an outsider's point of view. And it looks like he's got balls of steel. Viewable from space. It's very, very good. It kind of shows that what Putin said the other day was a complete lie, or the other weeks, was a complete lie, saying that Kupiansk was in Russian hands. So that general who basically reported to Putin's face that was the case, was basically lying to Putin's face. Some general, I think he's got white hair or something like that. I've seen around. So I wonder if he's going to find himself walking out of a window. He got awarded the Hero of Russia, I think it was called, the title. Of his medal he got off Putin, for not taking Kupiansk and lying about it. So they give medals out for some strange things in Russia, pretending to take a town. You get a medal for it. And lying to your president, you get a medal for it. So yeah, that's Russia, Laura. I think that seems to sum them up a little bit. If you can look good, if you can sound good, it doesn't matter if it's true or not.
I feel like Putin knows they're lying. I mean, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Putin knows more. Do you know what I'm saying? That maybe it's not just like generals lying to them, that he knows the lie. I know it's not something any of us maybe can know, but I don't know. Sometimes I just think, yeah, he knows, right? He knows what's happening.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because you'd think, well, he's not thick, Putin. He's evil, but he's not thick. So you'd think he'd have his fingers on different bits of information, but then on the flip side of that, he is very paranoid as well. And, he doesn't like computers either, apparently. So I don't think he's going to be surfing the Twitter type of thing. I don't think he's one of those. He's not like Trump in that respect. So there are, I've heard various different reports that maybe he doesn't know what's going on because he only has some trusted advisors, and if they're feeding him lies, then he just won't know because he's in a little bubble of his own creation, basically, to try and keep himself safe because he's paranoid. So I don't know whether he knows or not. One part of my brain says he should know. So I think he does know. I don't think he knows every single detail, but I think he knows when he's being lied to, and it's all over the news around the world. Whether he chooses to do anything about it or not is a whole different thing. Sometimes leaders will just ignore things like that because otherwise it would be unpacking a can of worms. And knowing Putin, he'll probably ignore it, and then that general will find himself taking a trip out of a window accidentally, or finding some kind of accident will happen to him, so that Putin won't actually have to do anything about it or say anything about it, or be, whoops, oh, he's gone. What are your thoughts on that, Laura?
A lot of it, right? Of like, it seems like there's so much smoke and mirrors too. Like, how would we know? And I get there must be people who are much more informed about Putin and his history too. I really like Dutch Vanek Soup's evaluation of Putin and how kind of reinforced his situation is, that a lot of people are involved. But no, I'm definitely not an expert in that area. I think I know some of it, and I hope we get to it too. I think recently I've kind of just been trying to focus on like what we can do, even with all of this craziness, like what can we still do to push back and try to stop my nations seeming to want to give at least a large section of Ukraine to Russia, which is just completely absurd. But yeah, anything else you want to get to, but I would love to just hear how people are doing with things. I know I've been having weird problems with AI getting some image generation for Ukraine. It refused, and it talked to me about why it refused to create NAFO dogs. And it seems to have backed away from that now, but I'm curious if other people have been having some of these challenges and just what they think we can do. I'll put, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping topics too. Kingsball Hockey had, I think, great ideas about contacting European Union and people like that in Brussels to try to put pressure on them to release the funds to Ukraine. And I'll put those links in the comments. And I know, Shaggy, you've had some great links that you found about the idea of what the relationship with Europe and what they're doing with the funds. I'm sorry, but if you wanted to go, I didn't want to switch topics too quickly, but you definitely had some great information on that too. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Am I interrupting? Am I the only
No,
one
you haven't.
here? Okay, thanks, love. Okay.
I was just talking to my phone without the mic button pressed as usual. Bloody stupid me. So yeah, I was just saying as I was scrolling down my timeline or the Tryzub Radio timeline to find the correct post, as it were. So actually, let me just shove that straight into space. There we go. So yeah, there's a guy called Jorge. I'm pretty sure he's Spanish with a name like that. Basically, he might be Italian, but I'm going with Spanish. Jorge Liberio, whatever. So I'll just read the tweet out actually, because it's kind of quite important. So the EU has just published the final version, and this is important because the final version looked a little bit different than the ones that were dropped beforehand. So the final version of the Article 122 regulation to indefinitely immobilize the Russian assets. So it's not seizing the Russian assets, which a lot of people want. And people on the other side said that would constitute theft, and legally it probably would actually. So it's definitely indefinitely immobilizing them. So there's three conditions, and it's to indefinitely immobilize, but only on a temporary basis. So what that means is they're basically immobilized until there's another vote by qualified majority voting at the EU Council level, which is the top level. To undo this. So it was pushed through under Article 122 of the EU's regulations, which basically moved it from being a decision that was needed to be unanimous by every single member of the EU, which was a problem because Hungary and Slovakia had a veto and they have used it as well. Therefore, they stopped some funds from getting to Ukraine, some other funds from getting to Ukraine over the years. So the EU, the European Commission, and everybody decided, you know what, this is serious enough now. Russia is a threat to Europe, and therefore we have this Article 122, which basically says, and Article 6 of the one of that article basically says that this measure shall be maintained as long as the making of available resources in Russia to continue its actions in the context of the war of aggression against Ukraine poses or threatens to pose a serious economic difficulty within the Union. So basically they're saying because Russia has invaded Ukraine and because that's causing a lot of economic difficulty, that's why they're allowed to use this Article 122 facility. So what it basically means is that this money is going to be blocked and Russia can't have it back, until one, it ends the war, Russia ends the war. Two, it pays reparations to Ukraine, obviously, which Ukraine agreed to as a final amount, and that Russia is no longer an economic threat to the EU. So that latter bit is mainly for the EU to say, we still think you're a threat. It's not happening. Even if they've given some money in reparations, which obviously is going to be like pulling teeth from something without teeth. So basically this money's kind of been, it's moved forward. It hasn't been seized. It's not going to be given directly handed over to Ukraine, but it does move it forward from an EU level. Therefore, they can, from a law point of view, it allows other things to happen. Whether it's going to be this repatriation loan and that's used for collateral. That's the idea that I think it's going to be used for. It's going to end up being used as collateral. I think Belgium will be happy, because Belgium's obviously worried a lot that it's going to be on the hook for this about 180 billion if Russia did take the EU to court, or Euroclear to court, or Belgium to court, and I'm not talking about Russian court here. We don't really care about Russian courts because they're fucking useless, and they'd lie and all that kind of stuff. So, but if it, for instance, went to a world court or the European Court of Justice or something like that, and then somehow Russia won that, then Belgium was worried it was going to be on the hook.
Shaggy, I lost your sound. Did you just mute?
Yeah, I did just mute again. I did. I'm going to slap myself around the head a little bit. I don't know how I muted myself then, because maybe I did it with my thumb. Yes. Yeah. So the EU has basically kind of moved this money into more of an indefinite freeze, and there's more likelihood. In fact, I think there's a strong likelihood that Belgium are going to be quite happy with this. There is talk today that Belgium, Italy, Malta, and I think Cyprus as well are not happy with what the Commission has come up with. And frankly, I'm not too happy with what the Commission came up with as well, because when sticking myself in Belgium's shoes, you don't want to be on the hook for the whole lot. So I think Belgium wanted the law, wanted it to be a lawful thing to do, anything done with these assets. And with this Article 122 regulation being action now, I think that does cover that actually to a large part, maybe some of the little things that need doing as well. But the other important thing is the risk sharing. So instead of Belgium being on the hook for all this money, if for instance it did get given, which is not going to happen, it did get given to Ukraine, and then Russia took Belgium to court, and they might win. And if they did win, Belgium would be on the hook for the whole amount. So Belgium wants that risk shared. It's not that it doesn't want this money used to help Ukraine. It just it doesn't want to help Ukraine and shoot itself in the leg or in the head at the same time financially. So I can understand this. I can understand that a lot of people are pissed off with Belgium, who just there's that word, just want the money to be given. But we live in a world of realities where things just can't happen just because you click your fingers. There are ramifications for things like that. So I was quite surprised when this Article 122 was actioned. We've been waiting for this kind of thing to be actioned for a very long time in the EU because of Hungary's veto and stuff like that. Hungary is obviously not happy. Orban is basically saying it's an act of war, and everyone's telling him to shut the fuck up. Sikorski, I think he's the Polish foreign minister. He's one of my favorite politicians, actually. Not only does he speak perfect English with a great accent, I really like his attitude as well. So Sikorski was having a jab at, I think it was the Hungarian foreign minister, today, which made me laugh a lot. I loved it. So yes, that was great as well. So as we know, Hungary, well, I won't say Hungary, the Orban regime is very pro-Russian. I'm pretty sure there's a hell of a lot of Hungarians who are not, because, well, there's pictures of them, filling up squares in Hungary protesting the Orban government at the moment. So let's keep it to the Hungarian regime rather than Hungary. When we talk about Orban, I think. Andrea, welcome.
Hello, good to hear you. I missed you the last week. I can't share the space, and I have really a little bit problems, but I want to read to you a post from a great German account, Regina Lasker, about the meeting, if you are interested in this.
Oh yes, definitely interested. I mean,
Okay.
one great German account I know at the moment is Merz and what he said about Putin the other day. But we'll get onto that later. You do your reading first, Andrea.
Yeah, this Regina Lasker, this is, I followed her and she write great reports about Ukraine and politics. The meeting between President Zelensky and the US delegation in Berlin has begun, and even at first glance it is clear that this is more than just a formal discussion. Chancellor Merz is not sitting on the sidelines at a distance, but in the middle of the Ukrainian delegation, to Zelensky's left, opposite Jared Kushner. Steve Witkoff directly opposite the Ukrainian president. This is not a random seating arrangement, it is a deliberate choice. The flags speak volumes. The European flag stands directly next to the US flag, then comes the German flag, only then comes the Ukraine flag, visibly protected by the German one. The message is subtle but clear. Ukraine does not stand alone here. If they want to destroy Ukraine, they will first have to deal with the EU and Germany. The task now is to dismantle the US-Russian surrender plan and leave only what Ukraine itself wants. Not what is geopolitically convenient, not what Moscow dictates, and not what US billionaires imagine in their power fantasies. Ukraine is a victim of this war, and it does not deserve negotiations about its subject. This is a difficult word. About its subject. Oh, sorry. This is really a difficult word for me. But about its security, its freedom, and its future. Berlin is not a neutral place today. Berlin is taking a stand. The talks have begun, and with them the fight for Ukraine's terms of peace, because they are the only thing that matters. Okay, that's
Excellent. Good stuff. Yeah, there's definitely been a change. I mean, Merz was already pretty strong, on pro-Ukraine, definitely. I mean, obviously compared to, Schultz, who was Schultzing all the time. But over the past couple of weeks, he's definitely stood up even more. I mean, he stood up quite a lot anyway, but definitely the other day, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, he was basically talking about the American, the security document they came out with, their national defense documents they came out with, and Merz basically turned around and basically said the Pax Americana is over. Now that was obviously a little bit hyperbolic, because, yeah, that's why I'm doing this little caveat bit on that, Laura, because I wouldn't say it's completely over. I will definitely say it just needs to be looked at more seriously, and that's what Merz, and that's what I think a lot of European leaders are finally the penny is dropping with them now, rather than trying to flatter Trump all the time, and be a yes sir, no sir, three bags full sir type groveling to him. There's definitely a little bit of backbone now starting to appear, I think, or it looks to be, within some European leaders, Merz being one of them. Even Stubb, the Finnish Prime Minister, was going to be going over to the States for a visit, but decided, fuck that, I'm going to Germany instead. So yeah, even he thought there's no point going to play golf and trying to have a word with Trump in his ear, because Trump is being Trump, and he's basically laid out, America's position, or at least the Trump administration's position. I'm not going to say America's position, Laura, because that may piss you off a little bit, and it wouldn't be accurate as well, but it's not really America's position, although it kind of is when Trump is president. So it's a horrible situation you're in, Laura, and Americans, especially Americans, obviously don't agree with Trump. But yeah, I think Merz has basically decided now, right, sod it, we're going to have to do this by ourselves, Europe. And he's come over the last couple of days and said some quite strong stuff. Andrea?
yeah. I posted the post in German under the space, and I must say I don't like Merz, but in this negotiations he is a good figure at the moment, and he's really strong and give a good sign. And tomorrow Stubb come also to Berlin. I'm really exciting how many European leaders come tomorrow to Berlin.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think President Zelensky's there already today, from what I saw on his timeline. So, but yeah, there is a big meeting as well tomorrow. I think Merz is a bit hot and cold with people. From some Germans I've heard, and I think I've heard from you, Andre, before, and some other Germans. A lot of Germans didn't really like Merz, because he's for some of the reasons why they like him. So, for instance, you don't particularly, it's like me with the Prime Minister in the UK. You don't particularly like him being strong and not listening to you when they're doing things you don't want. But you quite like him being strong and just pushing forward with things you do want. So, for instance, in my point of view, I really didn't like Boris Johnson. However, on Ukraine, yeah, 100% support him. Well, maybe not 100%, but basically he did a hell of a lot better on Ukraine than any other part of UK politics, in my view. Would that be a similar thing for you, Andrea? You kind of like Merz's stance ish on, or mostly on Ukraine? Ukraine. It's just maybe domestic stuff you're a little bit pissed off with him about.
He's articulating in inner politics is a catastrophe, and only a disaster. Like Boris Johnson. He's a good man for Ukraine, and Merz is in the outer politics good and finds the right words. Yeah, sometimes not, but mostly yes. But in the inner politics, it is absolutely a disaster, and we are, many people here in Germany are upset about this. But now I find it, for the Ukraine supporters, it is at the moment not difficult. It's important to see that he gives the right signs in the U.S. delegation and this Witkoff and Kushner. They are deal makers and not diplomats, not transatlanticers. This is for me, it's a joke, this duo, and we will see how much can Europe stand against this shitty peace plan, and I hope the best for tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. I mean, I think this big move by the EU to use his Article 122 to immobilise these Russian assets is, in my view, a big move by the Europeans. I was really quite surprised that they managed to get past the EU Council vote until I realised it was a qualified majority voting, which means I think you need like 60% or 65% of the votes. Of the population, and you don't need 100%. Basically, it's not unanimous anymore. But this to me shows that the Europe is, and because it was kind of quick as well, there wasn't really any talk about this until it happened. Basically, maybe a few days before. But a lot of things within the EU, it gets talked about, and then things get drawn out, and then things don't really happen. This Article 122 didn't really get talked about. This treaty has been used before about getting rid of Hungary's voting rights, and that's one part of this treaty that could have been used. But they've used another method, a nicer method actually. Which, even though I'd read that treaty, I forgot to read that bit, obviously. So this is a nice way, and this is going to move things forward. When it comes to Merz, I don't know anything. I know zero about his internal politics within Germany. All I see from Merz is what he does for Ukraine, and I kind of like it. He reminds me a little bit of Stubb, the Finnish Prime Minister, actually. They seem to be of the same type, i.e. strong blokes, well-mannered, but you don't want to piss them off. Laura?
Thanks. And I see Andrea's hand, but it may be the ghost hand. I thank you so much for sharing that from Regina Laska. As you were speaking, I was kind of quiet on emojis because I was finding it to try to post it, but you beat me to it. Thank you so much. She looks like she's worth a follow. She has good information. I wondered about, I was talking with Madhouse from Norway recently, and I was kind of struck by some of the vulnerability he was talking about that Norway is from Russia. I'm sorry, I didn't say that quite right. And I'm bothered by all the threats that Russia makes to Germany. And do you have a sense of what Germans feel is an actual threat from Russia? Because I feel like I'm very ignorant as someone in the United States of this kind of posturing and aggressive statements to Europe. I mean, I'm extremely concerned. I mean, I'm getting to the point of like where I just want to swear about it all the time. And that I feel like, though, if people stand up in the world and say we don't want to be divided up by Russia and the United States and China, I feel like there's a great deal of hope, but I'm getting very worried also. what's your sense, though, Andrea, with Germany? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there are things a lot of the people in the United States don't know about Russia's threats to Europe.
That's difficult. We have here in Germany the AfD. They were Russian friendly and also MAGA friendly. Oh, with my poorly English, I can't explain this. I know that we in Germany, the German people, uh, yeah, they support Ukraine, and the other side they ignore this war. This is difficult here in the country because we have an ongoing history of Russian propaganda inside the population, and then we have this ongoing history, this Russian-friendly history and politic with Schröder, Merkel, and Scholz. The SPD is very, very Russian-friendly, and this is really, really difficult. We have a long history of this Wandel durch Handel history and make business with Russia, and then Putin will be friendly and calm, and Putin is our friend, and this is really a German problem. And I'm glad about it that Merz do so much at this moment for Ukraine. He has understand how big is the problem with Russia, and I think that is good for Europe. I hope I can declare it so much, but we have here a big problem with the AfD, and we stand together against this Russian friendly, this Putin's puppets.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. I mean, from my impression from here in the UK, we're very similar. In the UK, you got a lot of support for Ukraine, but when it actually comes to spending money and increasing taxes and stuff like that, then suddenly it's all a bit, oh, what about me and my budgets type of thing. Not everyone in the UK. There's a lot of people in the UK. Sorry, just like there's a lot of people in Germany who've given lots to Ukraine and fully support Ukraine, but your average Joe Bloggs in the streets does, I think maybe the same in Germany, on paper does support Ukraine, but if it's going to hit them in the pocket, they get a little bit less supportive, which is a bit of a bummer. Which is why we need kind of strong leaders like Merz and Starmer to a lesser degree, and Stub, and basically and Macron. I put Macron in there as well because he's a staunch Ukrainian supporters. And in fact, there's a hardcore of staunch, strong European Ukraine supporters, in my view. There's just a whole bunch of floppy ones as well, which are not that strong, but most of them still obviously support Ukraine. But when it comes to people, yeah, we've got our own problems as well in the UK. Andrea, you've got the AfD, we've got Reform. And I think this goes in lots of countries, and this is part of the Russian playbook as well, is to create division through politics and stuff like that. That's one of the things that Merz got really pissed off with Trump and this new and this document that he was published by the states. And to quote him, he basically says some of it is unacceptable to us from a European perspective. Yeah, I see no need for the Americans to now want to save democracy in Europe. If she could be saved, we could do it alone. So yes, so he doesn't mind. He goes on to say, in my conversation with the Americans, America first is fine, but America alone cannot be in your interest. Rather, his message to America was, you also need partners in the world, and one of your partners can be Europe. And if you can't do anything with Europe, then at least make Germany your partner. So he's trying to support Europe. He's supporting Germany as well. He was definitely very pissed off with some of that documentation, which implied well, it didn't really imply, basically stated that America's interest was in helping certain political parties. It sounded almost like regime change or part regime change coming out from that American document. Basically saying we don't like some governments in Europe, so we're going to support the parties that we like. And that sounds like it's on the way to regime change there. And I think that's what really pissed Merz off, is the meddling of another country in German politics, in European politics more broadly, but in German politics specifically, that really pissed him off. What was your reading on that, Andrea, from that specific point of view? Oh, Andrea may not be there. Laura, did you? Oh, yes, yeah.
Here I am. I think he is really pissed off about this disturbing movements from MAGA and Trump in our democracy. And I think this is really what he's pissed off. I think that makes him really, really angry. And me too, and other people too.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing not to help Ukraine as much as we'd like America to help Ukraine. It's a completely other thing to say we're going to be meddling in your domestic politics, and basically blackmail Europe and basically help far right Russia-friendly parties within Europe. That is a red line, and that seems to be that's part of what has got Europe together, basically. It's all very well Trump coming out with all these things he says, but until it appears on paper in a document, it can be classed as Trump just opening his mouth and talking nonsense. But when things start to appear in official documents, like that American defense document, and it's there in black and white, that's when it becomes more serious. People say, yeah, we should have known beforehand because Trump has said it before, but Trump said a lot of things before. But when it moves, as I said, when it moves from Trump's mouth to U.S. paper, as it were, that's when that's caused Europe. That is going to cause Europe. Tomorrow is going to be a big meeting, as we know. Today's going to be quite a big meeting as well, with President Zelensky and Merz and stuff like that's going on today. This peace plan from the Americans and the Russians, obviously, that's not going to fly. I can't think of many points within that peace plan actually which would fly. So yeah, the Europeans did the correct and amazingly from the Europeans, timely move with that Article 122 and freezing those Russian assets for a year, and they won't be unfrozen until there's another vote on that, and that's not going to happen because, well, even if Hungary called for another vote, there's no way they're going to get over the 65-70% to get it reversed, as it were. So that's done and dusted now. Yeah, from that point of view. So, any thoughts? Anybody on the panel regarding this document, this American defense document that came out? Any other things in that you want to talk about before we move on to a different subject? Laura, did you have any? Have you read it or read reports about it? Please.
Mostly, yeah, just the reports and some of, yeah, I think, I'm not sure how much I've seen the entire thing, but I mean, it's extremely concerning. I keep thinking like, thank you so much, Andrea, because that's so helpful to hear. And also Shaggy and everyone, it's really helpful to understand the perspectives, I think, from different nations, to understand kind of how it's being understood in different places. Because I think for a lot of us, we feel like the threats of what they're talking about aren't being taken seriously, and that kind of makes us crazy. But at the same time, like here in the United States, we're not sure how serious these threats are about like invading Greenland or Canada. But I think as some of these things materialize and we see what's going on in the Caribbean, there's this greater concern. And I think a lot of us are concerned. They're serious about this. And I think we saw some response when Greenland and Canada protested very loudly that they want their freedom. And I think we saw the administration back off some. And I think a lot of us are really concerned about Venezuela too, of that is there even kind of some sort of racism involved there, where they didn't get the response that they were looking for from Canada and Greenland, so now they're going to countries where we've had issues before of invading and doing terrible things. And I'd have no idea really. And I see Mailu's hand, so I'd love to hear what she says, because she knows, of course, Venezuela. And I urge people just to do whatever they can, like speak out to your leaders. I know I keep repeating that, but just tell them what you want. You know, that this isn't what you want. Tell them, make it very clear, because I really believe that can have a profound influence, whether it's protesting, writing, calling, everything. Because I'm really worried. I try to be really optimistic, but I'm extremely worried also. Thank you. Mailu, can you go ahead?
Yes, thank you. I'm sharing the same sentiments with you, Laura. And I have been saying this for the longest time. Trump is the Hugo Chavez version, American version. He's doing pretty much the same thing like Hugo Chavez did from Venezuela. Now, the situation here with Venezuela is a very tricky one, and there is a lot of dark schemes behind that. It really hit me that Corina Machado support Trump, and he using her to get what he want. Okay. According to the information that I have been reading, she and him, and they're talking together regarding to Venezuela situation. But a lot of people know that there is something really bad behind this. It's not a good thing. Because at the end of the day, we need to put everything together. Maduro, Putin are friends. Putin is supporting Maduro, okay? And Trump trying to get in Maduro when Trump is a best friend of Putin. And they pressure him to do what Putin wanted, because there is a lot of financial stake behind that. And yes, it's a lot of money behind that, because unfortunately Trump, the only thing that he cares about is money. He don't care about nothing. He don't care about people. He don't care about nothing. Yesterday I was reading a post from him, and his True Social, the stupid social media neighbor, whatever they call it. And he was saying that Jesus Christ was talking to him, okay? And he was saying, you're doing good, and then I'm happy that you're doing America great again. I say, that is not Jesus Christ. That's not God's words. That is Trump's words, you know? But, I'm very worried about Venezuela, the situation, because at the end of the day, it's gonna be like a bumpy ride, and it's gonna end very bad. It's not gonna benefit Corina Machado. It's not gonna benefit the opposition. It's gonna benefit these evil clowns that are all together. I put out a picture on the purple pill. Then represent very clear how the government, actual government of the United States, it's a circus with a bunch of evil clowns. Then they just going after their own pocket. They don't care about anything. So here in the United States, people is a lot of concern and a lot of changes, and a lot of what is going on. But on the other hand, there is a lot of people open their eyes. I have been seeing a lot of posts in Instagram for a guy that discovered of the true intentions of Trump with his alliance and worshiping Putin. And they show that when the meeting occurred in Moscow, the ridiculous of Special envoy. They call him special envoy, but the special envoy.evil. That's what I call it. Went over there with the son-in-law of Tron. Then you have nothing to do in there. They show that the meeting was basically with the main financial people on Russia. And they want to put impression on these people to do the right thing in favor of Russia. Because there is a lot of financial and money behind this. And I say, you see, I knew it. I knew it. There is something wrong in here. And it's in favor of Russia. So Putin is doing all his evil strings behind everybody. We need to remember that Putin is a former KGB agent. And these agents was the worst thing in the planet. Okay. And all that he is a worshiper of Stanley. So his main purpose is to reinstall Stanley Empire. Stanley style. That's what he wants. But the world know then he's evil and is not right, and they don't want to repeat it what happened in World War II. So basically, we need to pay attention what's going on. We need to pay attention and put all the dots together. And then just looking at the conversation of how these people talk. And then you can see that they are not 100% sincere. They are not after the welfare of the humanity. They are after the welfare and the benefit of their own evil schemes. And yeah, I just live in the same nightmare like when I was in Venezuela with Hugo Chavez, just to see little by little, day by day, how they're trying to change it, everything. How this clown trying to change it, the system. And I hate McConnell because McConnell is the main author of Tron. They reshaped the Supreme Court to their favor. And then that's why he's doing all the crazy stuff regarding to the criminal system, the justice system. Then he think that he can control it. You know, I hope next year when the midterms come, it's a big change because we need to stop this madness. I can't stand it anymore. I'm worried just like you, Laura.
Laura, fish around for that microphone button.
It's such good to get that perspective from you, Milo. Sorry, I'm not speaking again. I feel, and I know Mitch McConnell too has done. I've really been glad he's been trying to support Ukraine, it seems, and I keep hoping moderate Republicans can push against this, that they see what's happening also, but I really don't know who to depend on. Like, I was extremely disappointed in the last administration and the Biden administration response to Ukraine, and that's where I know I just keep encouraging people, like, please just keep standing up, where the UK did that amazing petition of, I'll put some things in too, sorry, I'm not finishing my sentences, that they did a petition to get Russian influence out of UK politics. And I feel like if other countries keep pushing that, and I've been trying to kind of create posters I'll put in the comments about, just get Russian influence out of the US government. I was experimenting with some about just saying prosecute US officials working on behalf of Russia, and some people were like, that's too strong. A lot of me thinks, no, that is not too strong. We need justice in these situations where it just feels like we're in crazy town, right? That I hear what a lot of you all are saying, I feel like, is that our leaders aren't taking this seriously enough. And talking with others kind of in the Baltic regions where it's like Russia's been intimidating them for years, and the leaders are kind of being pushed over and they can't fight back adequately. And I'm really worried about that, but I do feel like we have a lot of power in what we can do. And I mean, organizations like NAFO, of course, have done amazing things, but I feel like there's still a lot of hope, but I am very worried. But I feel like the more we speak out, the more they seem to kind of back off some of these really crazy ideas. Does anyone else have more thoughts on this too? We'd love to hear from anyone.
I think you've just got to keep supporting the your representatives which are supporting Ukraine, and having a little go, either politely or just having a pop. I don't really mind which one, whichever one you think works for you. At the ones who don't, I was kind of surprised. MTG seems to be coming out as an anti-Trumper at the moment, which is kind of funny. There's the representatives like Bacon, who's always on my timeline. I mean, I see a lot of US representatives from both the Senate and Congress on my timeline, basically supporting Ukraine and basically saying, Trump, what the fuck are you doing? And some of these are Republicans as well. It all depends on what can get passed in Congress. Some good things have been passed in Congress with some of the bills that I've read. So you seem to be having Congress at the moment a little bit. I'm not going to say it's a hell of a lot. You might have to get your glasses on to see, but making some headway going forward in some of the legislation they've passed, which does have wording in there which protects, for instance, US forces in Europe and stuff like that, and would need congressional approval for withdrawals and things like that. But on the flip side of all that, you've got to understand, you got to think of Trump, and does he care about things that are lawful or things that are laws and norms? He doesn't really. So then you into this situation where he's just going to do what he wants regardless. He's going to go to court, and then that takes time. And in the courts at the moment, you've got some courts which seem reasonable in the States, and then you've got other ones which higher up ones which will just put a stay on the lower court's order, basically given Trump a carte blanche to wherever he does while they have a little review and stuff like that. And then if it eventually does all go all the way through to the Supreme Court, well, they seem to have been captured by the MAGA crowd as well, the Supreme Court. So it's not looking great from my point of view, but we can only do what we can do, Laura. We can only keep on pressuring our representatives in the States and in our own countries as well to do the right thing and keep supporting Ukraine with the other hand as well. And try not to get too emotional about it, which is easier said than done. I can compartmentalize things and turn the emotions chip off, as it were, when I'm analysing stuff. Not everything, though. Some things really get my back up, it has to be said. Your thoughts on that? Are you any good at compartmentalising, Laura, or not so great at that?
That's one, I think we've talked about before in this space of that. I've heard people talk about that it can be important to kind of distance yourself. I know in one of the spaces recently, I think, I wondered, I hope that didn't have a bad effect of, it just kept coming up of like how crazy this seems. And sometimes where it does, it's like crazy Phil's crazy towns. We're seeing it more and more, even from like representatives, oh gosh, like Kellogg's daughter, Megan Mobbs, who was saying the thing about crazy pills. Like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. She used that. And it does, I think your point is really good, the compartmentalization, because you can just start feeling like this is so crazy and maybe just check out, which is absolutely what we don't want to do. Like trying to stay calm, determined, focused on like what we want. And I mean, I want to do so much more, and I try to stay really focused on Ukraine. But that idea, I think compartmentalization probably is the way to put it, that you sometimes maybe have to detach a little bit where it's really hard to see some of the things that are happening. But if you're trying to contact representatives, maybe it's kind of a balance of sharing your emotion about this, but also trying to get done what we need to get done to stop this and to convince them, to be convincing with the truth. I know I keep emphasizing that, but that some of this just seems so logical. Why do we have to keep saying it over and over? But to keep that focus and to keep the pressure on representatives, I think, yeah, you're right. We need to do that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Just got to keep that pressure on. I mean, sometimes it's going to feel like, I mean, most days it probably feels like when I email my MPs and stuff like that, I just hope something's going to work. I just, bash out the emails once or twice a week, and I hope they do something. If I get a reply, it's like, woohoo, red letter day. And if I don't, it's like, well, I'm doing other things as well. So send the letter off, forget it. And just go through it's kind of going through motions, in a way, but it's going through motions which are important, to do, because if you stop doing it, then our representatives are going to think, oh, nobody cares anymore, because I'm not getting emails or letters and stuff like that, and therefore maybe it isn't a big topic. So that's why we have to keep the pressure on and keep writing an email and stuff like that, just to keep the pressure on and keep with these petitions and all that kind of stuff. But main priority is helping Ukraine, in any way we can, whether that's by fundraising, whether that's by things like this, keeping each other company and passing news, and getting different views and stuff like that. And keeping it in the news, and as well as going out in real life as well and kind of mentioning it. Obviously don't go, bring it up in inappropriate times. However, if you can find a segue, to bring up, the Russian aggression in Ukraine, I'll definitely do that, just to keep the people who aren't normally informed, who aren't Ukrainiacs is the word that I like to describe us, people who are, fully in support of Ukraine, need to get out there and educate those who are maybe not as aware, maybe who morally support Ukraine but don't really know what they can do. Give them a few little tips on what they can do. Every Tuesday, they can donate $2 or £2 or €2, whatever, on a Tuesday. Give them a link for that, on a Fiver Friday, and explain to them things like that. So that does make people feel a little bit better, actually. Sometimes if they can give a little bit, and feel as though they've done something. Now, a lot of people say $2 isn't that much and $5 isn't that much. Well, it isn't that much by itself. However, it all adds up. And there's been, huge fundraisers, huge amounts, raised from those small amounts. It's cumulative, isn't it? Just all adds together. Milo.
Yeah, you're right. We're NAFO fellas. We are a huge family. Okay, so that's what I keep reminding them. On Friday, Friday, the important fundraisers, the important ones that is out there, that they do an amazing job. Then even if you donate $1, we order us together. We can do the big difference, a huge difference, you know. So let's keep pushing in that one. The other thing I want to add is there is hope, a light at the end of the tunnel. I was watching a video before I get in the space. Then Viktor Orban is in problems. The whole country is in a massive protest asking for him to resign. That is going to be the best thing that can happen for the European Union, because he is the one that keep everything stuck for Ukraine. So I'm going to keep praying that finally this guy step down and Ukraine can see something is happening. It's moving. And I'm so happy for the European Union standing on the ground and say, we're going to move the frozen Russian money for Ukraine. It doesn't matter if Viktor Orban isn't against it. We're going to do it anyway. So I'm happy that they finally doing something for Ukraine.
Oh yeah, but steady on that, Miley. Just lower your expectations there a little bit. So, what the European Union has done is basically, used a piece of law, so it's lawful, to basically kind of, I'm going to say permanently, even though it's not permanently, basically permanently freeze Russian assets until Russia pays back reparations and ends the war and all that kind of stuff, which basically means forever. And there is precedent for this as well. For instance, Iraqi central bank assets were frozen. I think Vietnam's were frozen at some point as well, during that war. And there's been various precedents, for freezing, central bank assets from other countries. So this is kind of novel, as it were. It's a novel for the European Union, but it's not novel kind of generally. So freezing assets. So this thing about it not being legal to enact this, which is what Orban has been saying, and he's been saying it's an act of war. That's just a load of bollocks. And he's been called out on that as well. Most notably by the Polish Foreign Minister, Sikorski, who's like a bit of a hero of mine, a political hero of mine, actually. He's awesome. So yeah, but that doesn't mean that money's going to be going to, Ukraine. Yes, Milo. Or that doesn't mean that a repatriation loan, has been agreed based on that money yet, but it is a move forward. So and it is a big move forward as well from the legal aspect. The only thing that's got to be sorted out now, in my view, is the risk aspect of things, the shared risk aspect of things. So all the EU, the whole of the EU, in fact, I'd quite like the whole of Europe, so including the UK and countries that are not literally in the EU, to stump up and act as guarantors, for a proportion of that money, so that all EU countries proportionally carry the risk. That's one of the big things. That's one of the things about the EU is we do things together. Yes, we do things together slowly. And when I'm talking about the EU, I don't really mean Europe and kind of I'm in the UK and I'm not in the EU anymore. Boo hoo. But we try and do things by consensus or if not by consensus, at least by the majority. So we couldn't get a consensus, in the European Council, with some funds to Ukraine because of the holdouts like Hungary and Slovakia to some degree as well with their vetoes. So they've moved that now to qualified majority voting, on that subject, which basically means it's just a majority. A majority, a super majority, you'd probably call it in the United States and things like that. You need, 67, 70%, threshold rather than 100% or rather than 50%. You need something kind of in the middle of those two, which basically means a lot more things can get passed as well. So the next thing is going to be, there's a big European, meeting coming up, in a few days. There's basically over the next week, there's a lot of big meetings. So today we've got President Zelensky meeting with, the American delegation in Germany. So he's meeting with, Shitkov and Kushner, the con man. So he's meeting with them today, and then we got the European leaders meeting tomorrow, and then we got some other meetings as well later on in the week, council meetings and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a big week for Europe. But definitely over the last week, Europe has looked as though it's going to be doing stuff as well. Macron was on the phone to President Zelensky today, giving him support, just before President Zelensky went in to meet the American representatives. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that meeting. Whether, President Zelensky's already said, something. He's already moved a little bit. For instance, when it comes to territorial issues, he's basically said the Ukrainian people, need to have a say on this. So there would need to be a referendum. And obviously, I agree with that as well. I'm not Ukrainian, but yeah, if you want to give some of your land away and stuff like that, then the whole country's got to be involved. And this is one of the main issues. All Ukrainians need to vote on that. And there's 20% of Ukraine which is occupied at the moment. And those Ukrainians are on that territory are currently occupied by Russians. Need to have a vote as well. Definitely need to have a vote. I mean, it's their bloody land that they're on. They need to have a vote. So yeah, how could a referendum happen, when 20% of the country is occupied? Answer, in my view, is it can't. And so even though President Zelensky said he's willing for it, he kind of knows in the back of his mind that it's not going to happen, because it can't happen unless the Russians fuck off out of the country, which is ideally what we all want, is for the Russians to bugger off out of Ukraine. So he's saying the right things because he has to. He's playing the diplomatic game, and I fully agree with that. People might call it a bit mealy-mouthed and stuff like that. I don't know. Sometimes you have to play the diplomatic angle, and I fully agree with what he's doing at the moment. Milo, we'll go back to you before I jump into a little bit of internal, Ukrainian politics, which has been on my mind.
Yeah. Thank you. You know what I love a lot about President Zelensky? That's what I call him my number one hero. Yeah, what he did, right after Putin was talking garbage, then he was seizing that town, and then he was putting the video, and here, there is no Russian here. That was so good. I really loved that. And it really hit me then, here Trump wanna push Zelensky to go to elections. This guy don't have a clue about what things are. How in the world is gonna be an election if that nation is under a war? It's a constantly attacking every single day, every hour, every second. So, and Zelensky still have the honorable, intention to say, yes, I'm gonna do it, even if not appropriated. So he showed him that Zelensky has class and the other guy doesn't. That's what I love about President, but it's my number one hero. I love him.
Yeah, this is one of the things where President Zelensky's background as an actor and all that kind of stuff really helps out, because he really understands optics, and he really understands the empathy of what it looks like as well. So, yeah, you wouldn't get many wartime leaders kind of getting that close to the front line, and he's done it multiple times as well. Because one, to show support for obviously the troops that are there, and he gives out medals and stuff like that. But in my view, the main thing is the optics for the international audience. Is basically one, showing that Putin was one, lied to and is lying when he said that Kupiansk was taken, because clearly it wasn't. And two, just to show the rest of the world, mainly the American public, but I think, well, not the American public, the American audience, that yes, while Ukraine may be losing a few kilometers here and there, with a very, very slow movement forward by the Russians, they are capable of doing counterattacks and taking their territory back as well, when they've got enough arms and ammunition and stuff like that. So it isn't a completely frozen conflict with Russia just grinding forward slowly and inexorably. Ukraine does have agency, and has a growing amount of agency in this as well, with their defence sector becoming better and better, and the interceptor drones and all the stuff that's going on domestic, militarily wise, in the military industrial complex in Ukraine, plus on the civilian front as well, and plus with what Europe's doing to try and help out, and obviously Australia and everybody else, and America to some degree as well, and especially American citizens helping out. There's a shitload of American citizens. That's one thing I like to stress when I'm talking about these things. If I ever say America and Americans or Hungary and Hungarians and stuff like that, slap me around the head, because I need to be a little bit more specific when I'm talking about it. So I mean to say the American regime or the Hungarian regime and things like this, rather than labeling every American or every Hungarian or every whatever as being what their government is doing, because that is not the case in the UK. Our government supports Ukraine, but not everybody here does. Bastards. So yeah, a lot of them from the reform side of things. So yeah, we just got to keep on going, basically. Right. Any other thoughts on this topic then, Laura or Milo?
Yeah, the other thing I was reading, I think it was the day before yesterday, and really broke my heart. With the situation here in the United States and Trump going chasing immigrants and this and that, I read the sad story that an Ukrainian lady that is married with a retired Navy military. She went to the appointment for her green card. But guess what they did? They arrest her. So I say, look at what are they doing, and he definitely is not for Ukraine. It's for something else.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, you try and do things by the book. So you go to a country, you go through their procedures, and you're waiting their procedures and waiting for your court date so you can go and talk about getting your green card, and then they're waiting for you. It's not good. It's not good. It doesn't look good. optically, and it definitely, I've seen so many reports on Twitter about this happening and what ICE is doing and all this kind of stuff. Not just to immigrants as well, but to people, American citizens who were born and bred there. They just got the wrong colour skin, and that's basically what it is. So yeah, it's bad, and I really hope the good Americans, as I call them, get a handle on this sooner rather than later. Would be kind of handy. Yeah, it's very, very difficult. Right, so I was going to go on to another subject. Or do you want to bring up? Oh, Laura's still there. Sorry, that was my screen just going down as well. Andrea's gone. Andrea's down in listeners as well. So, we were talking about Mertz before, not being happy obviously with the states. And I was happy to see actually the German president as well, Steinmeier. He also said something on that subject as well. He said it is clear that the new American administration holds a worldview that is very different from our view, one that shows no regard for established rules for partnerships that have grown over a long time. So he's basically come out as well, backed up Mertz. So Mertz is the chancellor. Steinmeier is the German president. So basically, this showed me there was a unified German front on this. And this Andrea indicated to me that the Germans, if the president and the chancellor are on the same page, then it is a very big problem. And basically, what the German president said is kind of true as well. This current American administration definitely does seem to have a different worldview from normal. Should we say, definitely from us Europeans, definitely from people like Laura and other Americans who have a decent worldview, and then you've got the Trump regime, which has, well, Vance came out in March and basically at Munich and basically kind of said it, but we didn't in Europe really believe him. We just thought he was kind of just being hyperbolic, and just basically flinging out shit, just to see if anything stuck. But with that document that came out a few days ago, the National Defence document, that hot air, what we thought was hot air in March, basically hit the paper in black and white. And that's the thing that's kind of shocked Europe, is it's all very well saying bellicose statements and stuff like that, and you do it kind of for optics and stuff like that, but when it starts to be written down in paper as policy and in documents and stuff like that then makes it serious. And that's that's where European leaders are now, in this acceptance stage. It's like almost going through the stages of grief. So it finally dawned on them, and I think a lot of them now are fully in this acceptance stage now of accepting that America under Trump is going to be not good, and therefore Europe and everyone else basically needs a bit of a plan B, especially when it comes to Ukraine, and that's what Europe's going to be trying to sort out over the next while. Basically, is one that's going to still try and keep Trump-Lumpers administration on board, because we do in Europe need some stuff from the States, most notably intel and stuff that comes from satellites and all that kind of stuff, information. Less and less, we do still need American weapons, obviously, and stuff like that, but less and less now compared to a year or two ago, because we're making more of those ourselves. But that is definitely going to get stepped up as well over in 2026. You're going to see that shoot up. That's my prediction in 2026. Is Europe is basically going to realise it is in effect on its own. If we get something from the States, brilliant. But basically don't bank on it. We're banking on America too much. Partly it was the deal. We give up a little bit of sovereignty for American protection, but with this Trump administration, there seems to be no protection anymore, and therefore that part of the deal is if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. So if you don't want to help us anymore, then we need to sort our own sovereignty out and look after our own national interest, and become a bit Europe first. America can do America first, which is fair enough, but we've got to do Europe first, and everyone's got to do themselves first, whilst trying to keep alliances together as well. So Europe is going to try and do Europe first, whilst keeping the European Union together. I don't see the European Union breaking up because of what America wants, or Trump's America wants. I see this as pissing off the Europeans basically into action, which, yes, should have happened ages ago, didn't, but I think it is now. So Laura, that subject it might come back to it in a little bit if I can remember anything else to talk about it. But yeah, I'm done with that topic now. Should we go on to something else, which is not very good, which is good that it's being highlighted, but obviously it's a horrible thing. So up in the nest, I've put a link to a Euromaidan post, because today there's a global rally going on today. There's lots of things going on today. There's horrible stuff going on in Australia. We'll touch on that a little bit later as well. But today there's a global rally to stop the human safari and to save Curzon, or Curzon. I always pronounce the K because I'm rubbish. So that's happening today, 14th of December. So as we know, the Russians basically treat the residents in Curzon as a human safari and basically using drones, FPV drones, to basically hunt civilians, which is one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard of, ever thought about. I never even thought that kind of thing could happen until it was happening. So yes, there's hashtag Stop Human Safari and hashtag Save Curzon. There's also a website called humansafari.org, which will give you lots of information of. So yeah, if you can go into that, in fact, I'll just shove it up in the nest again. It's up in the nest. So yes, so this weekend, so I'll just read this out. So Curzon is in blackout, same as Odessa and other places. So there's no heat, no gas, no water, no power, no stable internet, and Russians are hunting Ukrainian civilians, or any civilians, by drone. So this weekend, be their signals to the world. Stop Ukrainian drones attacks on civilians. Prosecute those responsible for war crimes. Give Ukraine air defense and civil protection now. And lock in global laws to ban drone attacks on civilians. The very fact that you need laws to ban drone attacks on civilians is just, it was just I've stepped down the rabbit hole there, and that is like, is this the world I live in? But it is, and it's terrible. Curzon has got a lot of fishing nets up at the moment around the town. Around the city, but not all of it. So that's the other link as well, is these fishing nets over the roads do help. They're not perfect, as we've seen. Some Russian drones have been armed with like thermite and white phosphorus and things like that, and they can burn holes in netting, and therefore drones can then get through. So that's become a bit of a thing over the past few weeks of the Russians doing that. So yeah, basically there's going to need to be patrols on these to check out for holes and things like that. But this is just what happens in war. You kind of find a solution, the enemy finds a solution to your solution, and backwards and forwards like that. So these nets are still functional, are still very, very, very needed. So Coast of Life and there's lots of fundraisers. There's nets coming from France. There's nets coming from Holland. There's nets coming from Denmark. Basically, there's nets coming from every single. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Portugal. I've seen them come as well. Spain as well. I'm trying to think. I can't think of any European country that's got a coast that I haven't heard of nets. Use nets being sent to Ukraine so they can cover roads and protect civilians as well as military, but protect civilians, especially in Curzon as well, where it's just this human safari thing is just fucking ridiculous. And if you want to go to Tochny, so Tochny is another pro-Ukrainian space. They're on a Sunday. They've done some great work, morbid work, but some great work. They've got a graphic which basically shows all the targets over the months of strikes of human safari strikes by Russia on Ukrainian civilians, and it shows you that over the month, and it's horrible. It's informational, but it's horrible when you realise what's happened. Old people, young people, just walking their dogs, just going shopping, and a drone attacks them. So it just shows that Russia shouldn't really be even negotiated with. I understand how you can negotiate with somebody who's on the one hand sitting at the table across with you, and with their other hand ordering civilians to be targeted by drones. It's just I'll probably reach over the table and strangle the person on the other side of the table. Basically, that's probably me. Probably wouldn't be making a great diplomat, should we say? But that would be my reaction. I think, which probably means means I'm better off behind a microphone than across the table from a Russian at the moment, Laura. Well, what would you do, Laura? You probably wouldn't strangle them.
I think, and that just feels like such a theme throughout pretty much all conversations we have about Ukraine, is this just seems so absurd. Like, why? I've kept repeating that over the years of like, they don't belong in a negotiating table. The Russians belong in The Hague. Negotiate with people like that. That's absurd. I mean, just hearing what we were talking about in the last subject too, of it feels like we get into these periods where nations are so complacent in allowing things to happen, whether it's this, and I was just looking up the reason why Bill Clinton was so late in helping Rwanda. And it seems to be this bizarre cycle of why people aren't doing, why are they not acting? Like, you could, right? Of like, and this idea of like nets, we're sending them nets, which is amazing, right? And I'm so grateful people doing that. But I feel like historically we'll look back at that and people will wonder, why the hell didn't you just stop Russia? Why didn't you threaten them like you did before into not doing that? I really sometimes feel like I have no idea what's going on and why governments are acting like this. But all of that, like, I'm so glad they're doing the march. I'll be really glad to see, because I believe a lot of people will come out for the march against the human safari. It just, yeah, it feels like it's just absurd. And I'm so grateful for everyone here. And again, I feel like we just need to keep pushing our leaders. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. We just got to make awareness of it. I don't think many. I mean, when I talk to people about Kherson and what's going on there, people are just people that don't know follow Ukraine much. It's just disbelief. It can't be happening. So I basically show them videos, and they are shocked. So a lot of people, because it doesn't make mainstream media, and I think part of the reason it doesn't make mainstream media is because it's just so shocking. So it couldn't really be broadcast, especially in the UK, until after the watershed, which is, what is it, 6 or 8 o'clock, so it can only appear in the evening news. Basically because it's too sensitive to show your average person, and you want to make sure that kids aren't watching the telly type of thing. So things like that kind of get pushed till after, I think it's maybe 9 o'clock is what's called the watershed on the TV in the UK. But that kind of obviously kind of hits awareness, because you're not allowed to show that kind of stuff, which is kind of reasonable in a way, before 9 o'clock in the evening. Then not many people are going to hear about it. It doesn't appear in the news that much. It did at first when it first started to happen, but like most things seem to get normalized. And this is one thing that should not get normalized: is human safaris. Milo.
Yeah, regarding to this evil hunting safari, human safari. Yes, I watched a video on an old guy walking a dog, and the safari hit him, and the drone hit him and killed both the dog and the guy. This is something that we not be surprised. We need to realize that Russians have been demonic, malicious, evil forever. Forever. And they learned that from Stanley for those regimes. So this is no surprise me. I remember last year I watched a video, Russian soldiers, okay, when they misbehave or they don't do what they ordered to do, they torture them in a very inhumane way. And I'm watching the whole video say, if they do this to their own people, we can expect nothing from somebody else. So this human hunting safari, it not surprised me. And it's upset me more. And it made me realize that Russia is the most evil people in the whole universe. I'm not going to say the word, the whole universe. Yes. Sadly, governments in the United States, the reason for that is we need to remember when Hiroshima and Nagasaki, okay, when they threw in the atomic bomb, we need to remember that it was something very bad. A lot of people died. That time and there, the construction of the bomb and everything, it was just something so real. And since then, I think the United States is trying to be cautious, not to do the same mistake. But unfortunately, we have an enemy that not even deserve to be cautious, and it's Putin.
Yeah, thanks, Malu. Andrea.
Yes, Malu, absolutely right. And my heart's breaking where I see this picture of this old woman with her goats, also killed by such a drone. And it is a riddle for me why we, especially in Germany, slept for over 20 years to bring that evil and Modor up with our cheap gas business. And sometimes I'm feeling really guilty about this. But I make it short. Fuck Russia.
Yeah, Andrea. I mean, I think a lot of people were in that same bed. The what should we call that bed? The peace dividend bed, should we say? I think a lot of us were in that. A lot of people thought that, yeah, if we did trade with Russia, that would make Russia a nice country. And well, that was fucking wrong, wasn't it? I gotta say, I gotta confess, I think I remember my thoughts from back in the 90s when this was going on, a bit of rapprochement with Russia. I thought, well, yeah, it's better than it was. Obviously, I was wrong on that one. So yeah, basically never trust Russians. Basically, I think it boils down to that, and I think a lot of people know about this as well. A lot of people in Eastern Europe and Central Europe knew this, but dopey Ingrits like me in the UK and other people were like, well, I'll give them a chance. There'll be like fairness and all that kind of stuff, and well, you can't be fair with Russians because they're not fair. So you gotta use the same rules. And one of my big things is use the same rules again. Be nice to people, if you can, at the gates, as it were. But if people are horrible to you, then either ignore them or be horrible back. That's where I come from as well. And that's, the scales on my eyes have been thoroughly lifted, regarding Russia now, I have to say, over the past 4 years. But yeah, I definitely wasn't in the vanguard before this. I was one of the stupid ones, so I'm not stupid anymore. And we'll go to Andrea, and I'll just action Patrick. Andrea.
There is a great speech in the past from Maggie Thatcher with warning about Putin. She saw the signs and she realized how dangerous he is. It was in the 90s. I saw this a few weeks ago at Instagram. Maggie Thatcher realized how dangerous this is. And our little Mutti Merkel didn't understand this. Yeah, Merkel is much guilty for the things which now happen here in Europe. That's my opinion. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my opinion. She's
yeah,
guilty.
yeah, and I'm seeing that now as well. And I have to confess as well, at the time, I thought she was all right. Fucking shows you how stupid I am. I mean, I didn't know that much about internal German politics, and I wasn't really into politics, basically, generally, back then when she was in office. I was too busy clubbing, and stuff like that, and doing other things. But yeah, I kind of fell for that a little bit there. Fell for her a little bit, should we say, Andrea. Had that in the UK as well, with various prime ministers. And when it comes to Maggie Thatcher, she's not, well, in the UK, people either love her or hate her. You don't get many people in the middle. I kind of thought she was okay, then hated her, and now kind of think, well, actually, some of the things she was saying was spot on. So just some of the way she did things, wasn't great, I have to say, especially me coming from Liverpool. We haven't got a lot of love for Maggie Thatcher. However, she was a strong woman, and she was definitely right when it came to Russia and China as well, but mainly Russia. Her and Reagan basically knew what was what when it came to Russia. Unfortunately, Reagan isn't about anymore, or somebody like him isn't about. Patrick, welcome.
Yeah, like I suspect that even though the previous 28-point surrender plan is officially off the table, but I suspect that Trump is privately behind the scenes lobbying, still pushing for the 28-point plan. Like in regards, we've seen it in the reparation loan to use frozen Russian assets for Ukraine. The United States lobbied against it, and I'm afraid he's putting pressure on. Trump is putting pressure on European countries to vote against transferring Russian money to Ukraine. And I suspect that's why it appears more European states. You try and list them. Well, they are Bulgaria, Italy, and Malta joining, and recently looks like Czech Republic will also join in opposing transferring the Russian money to Ukraine. I suspect all these countries are being pressured by America. And I'm also worried that if they go ahead to use on December 18th or 19th to transfer Russian money assets to Ukraine, I also worry that Trump would start sanctioning European countries. So yes, Trump putting sanctions on European Union and Ukraine if they transfer the Russian frozen assets. And I'm beginning to wonder what leverages does the European Union have over America? Because if you check the geostrategist Valina Chakarova, she keeps arguing that Europe has no cards and only Russia, China, and United States, and possibly India have all the cards against Europe. So I think she's just kind of a vatnik, but no, I hope not. And then there's the other scenario of I keep wondering whether Trump will start selling American-made weapons to Russia. That's my biggest fear. I hope Congress will impeach him, but and then remove him if he does that. But I wonder what, and I hope that certain European-made weapon systems are better than American weapon systems. We can turn to David for that. He said he keeps David D. He keeps arguing that European countries combined are producing more weapons and military equipment than America. That's positive sign, but I'm still worried. And it would be very disheartening if that happens, because there are certain things the Europeans cannot produce, like this HIMARS and the F-35. So I wonder, to other Europeans, if those two happens, Trump sanctioning European Union and Ukraine and providing military aid to Russia, I wonder, what are all your plans, basically? And and also, as a Hong Konger, I wish I could have joined the British military right after this full-scale invasion started, but according to the laws regarding immigration laws in Britain, allowing Hong Kongers carrying a certain British passport to come to Hong Kong. Like, my parents have that passport, but I was born like before the day Hong Kong was returned from British colonial rule to China, so I cannot follow them to Hong Kong. So I'm basically stuck. So I'm very sorry. And
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. Yeah, it'd be good to have you over here. I mean, that passport thing was basically because it was a cut-off, from my understanding, it's because it was a cut-off date when Hong Kong got handed back to China. Anyone before that who had a British passport, or maybe there was some time frame where there was a crossover, but then a certain date came, and yeah, after that date,
the date
you couldn't get.
so like so my parents have the so-called British National Overseas Passports, in which they could settle in Britain and stay and work there for 5 years, and then 1 year like indefinite leave to remain, and then after 7th year they could get British citizenship. But because I'm their dependent. So, and I was born before July 1st, 1997, which is the day Hong Kong was returned to China from British rule. So, I cannot follow them. That's kind of unfair.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
And I
That's
think
a bummer.
those is even very unfair, because I remember those kids trying to like protesting on the streets. The majority of them were born like 20, 30-year-olds and even teenagers. So not all of them can follow their parents. That's
Yeah.
that's very sad.
Yeah, it's not good, not good at all. On the back to the European topics that you were talking about. So yeah, there is talk that as well as Belgium having problems with the European Commission's proposal for sending funds to Ukraine, and its proposal for using these assets, Italy, Malta, Cyprus have come out as well with concerns. Now, and this is one thing I want to say. It's not that those countries, even Belgium, don't want these frozen Russian assets used to help Ukraine. It's just that they want they want the mechanism of these funds being released and used to be, one, legal, and two, any risks shared across the EU. So my understanding of Malta and Cyprus and Italy's position is that the current proposal by the European Commission wasn't airtight, wasn't legal, and didn't share the risk across the whole of the EU. And that's kind of where I think the countries which have come out against the European Commission's current proposal are against it. They're not against giving Ukraine more funds and more aid and stuff like that from the frozen Russian assets. It's just how to get those funds. And from my point of view, and I've said this for a couple of years now, I'd like those frozen Russian assets used as collateral for a much bigger loan. And that's kind of not what the European Commission is proposing. They're kind of proposing, or at least some of the proponents within the EU are proposing, using those frozen Russian assets for a loan, for this reparation loan, which is not a big loan, really. I mean, I was thinking of €1 trillion. You put 200 million down, and you get €1 trillion, and then then use that €1 trillion to fund Ukraine militarily and for its domestic and like wages and stuff like that. The European Commission is kind of proposing using that for a much smaller loan. It's only in the tens of millions, maybe 100 million or something like that. So basically well covered by those funds. But they want it to be legal and all that, and that's where we're getting into a little bit of xenophobia now between countries and people pointing the finger. One day people will be pointing the finger at Belgium, saying they're pro-Russian. The next day it was something came out of Finland one Finnish person said something, and then suddenly the whole of Finland was being looked at, and then it'll be Italy, and then it'll be the UK, and then it'll be France. It's this usual merry-go-round of wedge issues, and finger pointing, and basically at the end of it, behind it all, I think is two things. One, ignorance. People just don't understand what is being said, and they kind of jump at the headlines and the clickbait. And two, Russian misinformation. They're going to be spreading these. They're going to be fomenting these wedge issues and things like that. Similar to what's happened in Ukraine politically. So there was a big hoo-ha a few weeks ago about, what was it, Umarov, presidential advisor, and there was lots of Ukrainians as well as non-Ukrainians. Some liked Umarov, others didn't. And then I think it was Umarov. Anyway, one of the guys, he had to resign in the end. The naysayers got their own way. A new guy came in, and basically the head of Ukraine's peace negotiating delegation had to resign on alleged corruption issues. 2 days later, President Zelensky appointed somebody else, and now he's being attacked by Ukrainians as well as non-Ukrainians as well. And this is the kind of thing I don't like. It almost feels as though there's an undermining of the President Zelensky's team. If people can't get directly at President Zelensky, they're going to be trying to get to the team who supports him. And this is what I really don't like at the moment. And I really don't like it because some of it is coming from Ukrainians and Ukrainian supporters as well. And it's something that I really don't like seeing. You need to stand behind your leader. You need to stand behind your government. Things like that. Yes, corruption needs to be investigated. And all this kind of stuff. But on the flip side of that, well, innocent until proven guilty, and just because somebody's alleged to have done something doesn't mean to say they've done it, which is generally a kind of a hide from somebody who's normally guilty. But it is how things are. People are innocent until proven guilty. And if you're swapping in and out, main actors when it comes to the peace process or Ukrainian, governance and stuff like that, it does weaken the Ukrainian government. So I like people to have a little look, have a little think about, okay, are you going to jump on the bandwagon, having a pop at somebody? What are the ramifications of that? Have a little bit of critical thinking. Milo.
You know, it caught my attention, Patrick. Yes, you get at a good point regarding to wonder if Trump is supporting giving weapons to Russia. Yeah, I never talk about that. You know, you just keep me my life. And then, if that happened, it not surprise me. Because this guy is just about his friend, Putin. Because unfortunately, there is a lot of money and stay behind all of this evil schemes. But yes, and I agree in that area with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Laura, any thoughts on this?
I think, yeah, both Patrick and what Milo reiterated that Patrick was saying of like, I think just that thought of there's some sort of plan likely in place that they have, and that's horrifying. Yeah, that idea of whether it's like leverage or blackmail that they're basically putting on Europe. I feel like, and I don't think we've addressed that there's that new posturing, I think it's Sweden and Finland, that Russia is kind of posturing at now about maybe they shouldn't be in NATO, if that's correct. That hasn't been a story I've pursued a lot, but I think that makes a lot of us incredibly uneasy, kind of with this basically abandonment of Europe that, and we know we've seen that the document we talked about earlier that was put out by the U.S. administration that invokes the Monroe Doctrine. We've seen them do that in the prior Trump administration. And I'm not sure even if the people were advocating for the Monroe Doctrine, that's this, and I would imagine there are quite a few people here who know more about it than me, but it's the Monroe Doctrine talks about ending European colonialism in the Americas. But for a lot of people's interpretation, it basically means ending Europe colonialism and beginning the United States' colonialism of the rest of the Americas, which seemed to prove true. But I think it's a form, I don't know, maybe no one knows what they're going to do with it, but I think back to Patrick's point and what we've been talking about this is that it seems to be more of this dividing up of the world, of this this bizarre multipolar world that keeps being pushed and basically leaving Europe to fend for itself under the pressure of Russia and maybe under the power of Russia, which is just completely crazy and absurd to me. But all of it, no, I think you guys are bringing up really good points. But yeah, the Monroe Doctrine talk is concerning, and I think again we need to keep pressuring our leaders to speak out and stand up against this. That this is not something we can let stand, and we've seen so much complacency over decades. I'm really hoping people see that now's the time to stand up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, when it comes to Europe, and Europe hasn't got any cards and the Americans can just bully us, well, that's not completely right. We do a lot of trade with America, so that could be one way we can get to, we can pressure the American regime. Also, I mean, for instance, Swift is based in Belgium. It's a company that, does a lot of transactions, that organizes transactions, big institutional transactions. That's actually based in Belgium. So, I mean, I used to work there. So if things did get naughty, then yeah, a one letter code change, on their database could basically wipe out, all US transactions, going through Europe just by changing the country code from US to, UX or something like that. All transactions would fail. So that's kind of a nuclear option. I've kind of explored that as well. That would hurt Europe as well as hurt America. But Europe definitely has tools. It owns a lot of US debt. They could start selling that off a little by little just to send messages to the markets and stuff like that. But all this starts to get a little bit almost like economic war. But that's kind of what Trump is doing on the world at the moment. The Trump regime is doing on the world at the moment, basically blackmailing people with tariffs. Basically saying invest in our country, otherwise you're going to get more tariffs. It's basically blackmail. That's it. And Europe kind of went along with it a little bit. But now, over the past couple of weeks, definitely the past week, I think the scales have lifted from European eyes. And we do need to we have got levers in Europe. Our leaders may not know what those levers are, but we've definitely got levers which we could use against America. There's a lot of, if, for instance, US bases in Europe, if Americans aren't going to be, supporting, the Europeans to fight off Russia, then what's the point in having US bases in Europe then? It's all very well being able to project your power and stuff like that, but you can't really project your power if you haven't got any bases, anywhere else apart from your own country. And yeah, so that's one thing the US has to think about. If you push too hard, you're going to get pushed back on. If you push somebody who's a nice person, and that's what I consider Europe to being, too far, you're going to get smacked into the nose at one point. And I think, Europe has taken one glove off, at the moment when it comes to that, by this instigation of this Article 122, and this virtually permanent freezing of Russian assets. It's basically Europe saying to America, these assets are in Europe, they're controlled by us, the European Union, and stop looking at it, because we've now done legally what we can do. We're working going forward to use these assets to help Ukraine. We don't need the America to sort this out. If you got frozen Russian assets in America, you deal with them the way you want to deal with them. Yeah. In Europe, we're going to deal with it the way we want to do it. And that's kind of that's the big difference that's happened, this week. Europe is finally getting a small, minute pair of balls growing, down there. And I like it basically. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. So the next few weeks are going to be, kind of interesting from that point of view. How Trump reacts to Ukraine and the European Union basically saying, fuck off with your stupid surrender plan. Either bugger off completely, or just go and sit in the corner by yourself, and don't say anything to us. Just sort yourself out. and then leave us to ourselves. And I don't really mind if America, obviously, if America suddenly tomorrow kind of decided, right, we're not going to help Europe one little bit, that's going to be hurtful. So what Europe has to do is manage the Pax Americana decline, as it were, in a way that kind of doesn't hurt Europe more than Trump's withdrawal from Europe is already doing. So it's got to be kind of a managed retreat from that, without hurting yourself. Like on the battlefield, America has got a lot of power, but it hasn't got all of it, Patrick. I think. So Europe definitely has agency. You won't necessarily hear about it much because Europeans don't really like bullying others and throwing our weight around. We're a lot more diplomatic than that, especially a lot more diplomatic than kind of Vance or Trump or anybody in the Trump regime. But when push comes to shove, and I can definitely tell you this from my British point of view, we're not going to accept fucking nonsense. And if we've got to do it ourselves, we will do it ourselves. And that's basically what it boils down to. I think that's my impression. Milo, Patrick, Laura, any thoughts, or Andrea?
I agree with you 100%. You know, when I watch that and they say, we don't need you. We are adult and grown up enough to do our part. So I applaud that because it's about time. There is no time to wasting with the situation in Ukraine. There is so many people dying that it breaks my heart to see every hour little single towns are destroyed, everything. So it's time to put in the feet on the ground and say enough. So I applaud them what they say and agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Europe is making a lot more weapons than it used to. Still needs to make a lot more, but it's getting there, and that's probably going to be ramping up over. You probably see a notification over the next few months of that ramping up as well, considering what's happened over the past week, which is a good thing. America does provide Europe and much of the world actually with American products that only America makes. But with HIMARS, there are replacements for those kind of things. I think the French maker, the French and the Ukrainians actually have been making kind of HIMARS replacements and things like that. Yeah, we don't make F-35s, but then we've got Gripens and Typhoons and things like that. And it's a bit of a swings and roundabouts. We could do without American weapons and munitions. The one thing America does have, though, is intelligence and satellites and all that kind of thing. That's the thing that Europe would miss the most, I think. But satellites are being launched, and gaps are being filled there. ICEYE is one satellite constellation system which is helping out, and there are various others as well. Let's go to Patrick next, and then get to Andrea.
Yes, and I think the Europeans should start intervening directly, militarily, with boots in Ukraine right now. I wish, after it started, I wish I could have joined the British Army and then get deployed to Ukraine as a non-combat role because I'm the only child in the family. Yeah, so if I had siblings, I wish I could have started fighting for the Ukrainians. But right now, I think Europeans, including Brits, should start treating America as your enemy. I wish that if the worst case scenario that Trump sanctions European Union, I hope the European Union should also sanction back on the United States, then if as rightful retaliation.
Yeah, I mean, well, I view these tariffs that Trump's America has put on Europe and the rest of the world as sanctions. Basically, they're called tariffs, but basically they are a sanction. They're a cost, they're an additional cost. So yeah, I view America as already starting the sanctions war and the economic war with Europe. And Europe basically back a few months ago basically kind of said yes. Negotiated a bit and then accepted the deal. And then I think the European leaders were hoping that the American courts would throw out Trump's ability to levy these tariffs, and therefore that deal and all the deals based on those tariffs would be moot, basically. I don't quite know. Maybe Laura knows. I can talk about that court case. I think it was actually due around about now, actually. So maybe it's in a few days, or maybe it's happened. Well, we'll go to Andrea and then Laura.
I think it's important that we go from the coalition of the talking to the coalition of the willing. Now we are in this procedure to only talking. Okay, we ramp up the weapon industry in Europe. There are a big deal with Ukraine with weapons, and there are many, many movements in the right direction to get independent from the United States. That's good. But we are sent more signs from the coalition of the willing, not only from talking. And I am a person who is fast for strong decisions. But in this theme with the United States, I think we must leave the channels open. We must leave the channels open to hold the contact to United States. This is important at this moment. But this peace deal before Christmas, this can't come true, and this is okay. It's many people dying every day in Ukraine, but this is not the right way. And the boots on the ground, and I think we can begin with closing the sky in West Ukraine, near to Poland and Romania. This was a first sign the first sign, and we can do this tomorrow, today, if we want. So I say, not the coalition of the talking. Now we are do it to the coalition of the willing, and that's important. Thank you.
Yeah, agreed, Andrea. It'd be nice to see more doing than talking. Although talking is doing something.
May I add in 2018, under Trump's first term, American soldiers actually fought Russian Wagnerites directly, face to face, and it was like for a
That was
few
Syria.
hours.
That was Syria,
Yes,
wasn't it, Patrick? I think.
yes, in Syria, like there for a few hours, the Russians and Americans fought face to face with, and until American air support came in, and Americans killed all the Russians and the Syrian allies, and yet we never heard of it. It was never made into the headlines, and there's no Russian retaliation after that. And same with, and then like go back earlier, 2014-15, Turkey shot down a Russian bomber, Su-24, and both Russian pilots died, if I remember correctly, and there's no retaliation. So that's why I think like Europeans should start killing Russians in Ukraine right now.
Yeah, it'd be nice. On the Turkey thing, there was a little bit of retaliation there, but Turkey took it on the chin. So, yeah, basically a Russian jet violated Turkish airspace. Turkey was in a bad mood that day, shot the Russian jet down. Russians then put sanctions on Turkey, various sanctions on Turkey. Erdogan ended up apologizing to Putin for that, and the sanctions got lifted. So there was ramifications for it. But basically, at the end of the day, Turkey made its point. Yeah, don't fuck around, Russia, because we can do. We will shoot you down if we want to. Yeah. There was pushback, there were sanctions and stuff like that, and a mealy mouthed apology came from Erdogan to Putin, just because it's a diplomatic, realpolitik thing and whatever. But Turkey definitely made their point, I think, and Turkey. It was kind of ironically amusing the other day when Putin was talking to Erdogan. They had a meeting at the sidelines of a larger meeting they had on the same day that Russian. I'm pretty sure it was a Shahid. There's talk it was a Kinzhal that hit a Turkish boat, which was at the time allegedly carrying electrical generators, but has been since found out to be carrying tomatoes and vegetables. And another one carrying sunflower oil as well, Turkish owned as well. So basically, Erdogan was sat there with Putin, basically saying, yeah, we don't really want anything dodgy happening in the Black Sea, whilst the Russians were hitting Turkish tankers. We do a route from Turkey to that particular tanker, that particular cargo ship goes kind of nearly almost weekly from a Turkish port to Odessa to a Romanian port, and basically does a little ferry trip around the place, taking stuff. And it was just tomatoes and vegetables on that ship. So it'd be interesting to see what Turkey's going to do. And the history between Turkey and Russia is pretty interesting. So if you want to research that, it's definitely worth a research, actually. Andrea.
I have a question. Is Poland tomorrow by these talks? Know anybody this? Because Finland is with Stubb in Berlin, and I don't know if Poland is too.
I don't know the members, actually. I'll try and dig it out, who's going to be there. But yeah, tomorrow's going to be a big meeting. I don't quite know exactly who's going to be there, actually. I'll dig it out, a little bit. Laura, have you got anything on this, or do you want to talk while I'm digging out to see who's exactly going to be there?
That's a great question, though, because I found like you can kind of ask who's going to be at this meeting, and then what are their ats on Twitter or wherever you're working from, and you can send them messages about what you think what you believe. No, I don't know. That would be important, I think. I think just staying on top of things like that is a really good idea. I agree, though, like with what Andrea and I think Patrick, you were saying, that I think the talking, like, I think we've seen it so many times before, right, where we'll get kind of optimistic of like, ooh, that was a good thing to say. But then it doesn't seem to go anywhere for years. And that does get really concerning I think a lot of us like can't figure out why aren't there more weapons productions? And I don't mean to advocate for violence or anything like that, but there's this sense, I think, from us of like, Europe needs to hurry to do something. But I understand too what Andrea was saying of like keeping the lines of communication open, where I can see the concern of like, if it's too severe, then it's going to be US against Europe, maybe Russia and US against Europe, which is completely absurd. But I believe this administration can be swayed to our administration in the United States with the correct pressure. And I think it's interesting what Merz did, I think, of making those statements. And I hope that creates response from our other leadership here, that like, we don't want that. We don't want to be at odds with Europe. That's absurd. So I'm optimistic. I mean, I'm worried, but I'm hoping that more sound reasoning will prevail in that. Shaggy, did you find what you were looking for?
I did, yeah. So tomorrow in Europe, there's going to be two meetings. The first one's going to be a EU Foreign Affairs Council meeting, and that's going to be in Brussels. It's a regular meeting of foreign ministers from all 27 EU member states. So they're going to be discussing Russia's aggression against Ukraine, including an informal exchange via video conference with Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha. So all 27 countries are going to be there. So Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czechia, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden. So basically all 27 European foreign ministers are going to be there. There's also an informal summit of European leaders hosted in Germany, in Berlin. This is the one I've been talking about a little bit by German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. This meeting will involve Ukrainian President President Zelensky, heads of state governments from several key European countries. So the ones that are going to be attending, confirmed or expected participants include Germany, France, the UK, and likely others, described as many European heads of states and governments. So that's about all the information Grok can give me on that. So maybe we don't know who's going to be there at the Berlin meeting with President Zelensky, but there's going to be a lot of European politicians in action on Monday, basically. So yeah, lots of stuff should come out from that. Malu.
That meeting that you guys talking about is going to be in Europe or is going to be in the United Nations?
The two meetings that I talked about were both in Europe. So one in Brussels, the European Foreign Affairs Council is going to be held in Brussels. That's where all 27 foreign ministers are going to be. And then there's going to be another meeting in Berlin, hosted by the German Chancellor Merz, involving just a few countries, Germany, France, and UK, and some others, to discuss things directly with Volodymyr Zelensky. So basically foreign ministers and some heads of state meetings. Not completely sure of the complete list of the informal summit that's going to be held in Berlin, Malu.
Yeah, because I'm reading here that tomorrow is going to be assembling in the United Nations, and Poland will be present tomorrow. So at least they're going to have different people in the different places. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I've just got a little message, saw a message from Blitzdushen. Thank you for that. Yeah, Poland's going to be there as well. So that's very, very good. I like Poland being involved. I like Finland being involved. I like Sweden being involved. I like basically all the Eastern European or the countries that are bordering Russia, being involved in this, because their voices are generally the correct ones, to listen to. So I'd like to see Romania in there as well. I'm not particularly asked about Hungary, I have to be said, or Slovakia, to be completely frank. But yeah, the big countries, as it were, definitely the nuclear powers, UK. Well, the UK is not going to be there per se because we're not in the EU anymore, but hopefully we're not on the EU foreign ministers meeting anyway, but we're definitely in the informal summit one, in Berlin. So I'm hoping things are going to come out from that. I'm expecting, actually, I don't usually use the word expect, but I'm expecting movement coming out from this based on what's happened last week with this European move with this Article 122. That was quite, in my view, that was quite a stunning economic move from the EU, considering how slow it usually is. That was pretty fast, I have to say. So I think a rocket has been put up the EU's arse. It's obviously not going to be as quick as we want, because we all want things done like yesterday. But compare what's going to happen. Compare what's happened over the past week and and then when you view what's happened over the next couple of weeks, stick that in your mind, and then juxtapose that against what's happened over the past 2 or 3 years, basically. I'm pretty sure the pedal will have been put to the metal a lot harder than it has over the past few years. I'm not great at looking in my rearview mirror and saying what could have, should have happened and navel gazing in the past. I like looking at, okay, where are we now? How are things looking now, and how to progress in the future? And I think one of the big things that this informal meeting in Germany is going to be doing is trying to sort out what's going to happen and get some agreement on this reparations loan based on the frozen Russian assets, especially now that decision is going to be probably a qualified majority voting decision rather than need full unanimity. So it gets a little bit complicated with that. I'm going to dig that out as well. Laura, have you got something to say while I dig out the actual numbers on qualified majority voting?
I had seen Patrick's hand. Yeah, Patrick, I'm sorry, I see your hand again. Please go ahead, and then
Yeah,
Andrea
so
after that.
can you repeat that regarding the transfer of frozen Russian assets to require just majority voting? No need for unanimity. If I got that right.
That's actually, he might, Shaggy, can you repeat? You may be off getting something.
Yeah,
Was that
I was
correct?
just googling away. Yeah, so my impression is now. So because this frozen Russian asset issue has been moved from unanimity voting, i.e., all 27 EU countries have to vote yes for anything to be done. It's been moved now to qualified majority voting. So let me explain what qualified majority voting is. Standard qualified majority, there's two types. Standard qualified majority voting means that at least 55% of member states, so that's 15 out of the 27, have to vote in favour of whatever resolution has been put in front of them. And those states, those 55% of states, 15 out of 27, have to represent at least 65% of the EU's total population. So to block it, opponents must prevent this double majority. A blocking majority requires at least 4 member states opposing and these states representing more than 35% of the EU population. So I am just doing some, well, I'm not doing it actually, Grok is doing some calculations. So of those 4 countries, so if we look at Italy, Belgium, Cyprus, and Malta, who are the 4 countries who are currently, from my understanding, a little bit about this reparations deal and all this kind of stuff, and want some stronger safeguards. If the rest of the council voted for it, they couldn't block it, because basically Italy has got 13% of the EU's population. Belgium 2.6, Cyprus 0.2, and Malta 0.12. So basically 16% of the EU population is covered by those 4 countries. So even though to block any qualified majority voting, you'd need at least 4 members opposing, which they possibly have. They would also need to represent more than 35% of the EU's population, and because they only represent 16% of the EU's population, they wouldn't be able to block any qualified majority vote on a reparations loan type deal. And this is my understanding of it now, because it's moved from unanimity voting to qualified majority voting, basically because of this enacting of this Article 122 from the European Council a couple of days ago. That's why I'm thinking it's all going forward. It's all going to be basically on qualified majority voting. Does that help a little bit, Patrick?
Yeah, I feel a bit better. I feel a bit better right now. A bit more relaxed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's that standard qualifying majority voting, and I think there's another one as well which requires slightly higher a higher threshold than 65%. I'll try and dig that out as well. But yes, because it's moved to qualified majority voting now, I think there's going to be a lot, and this money. I think there's going to be a lot less stick with people vetoing things, or their ability to veto things, and that's why Orban is so pissed off, basically, because while he still has a vote, and that was one of the things that was mooted to be taken away from him, so he couldn't actually vote. The EU, sneaky buggers they are, and I like that, I found a way of nullifying his vote and nullifying a vote of people like him, like in the Slovakian regime as well, Slovakian regime, and the Czech guy as well. So yeah, that Babis guy got voted in as prime minister, I think, in Czechia, which is not great. Maybe I need to add Czechia to my little list as well. See if they're not going to bump it up over 35%. It's at 17%, 16% now, the EU population. So, well, they're not going to bump it over 35%. So even if Czechia and their new pro-Russian prime minister voted with the naysayers, they wouldn't be able to block it. So, but we'll have to see going forward how this mechanism works, because that's just my impression, Patrick. Laura.
Laura.
And I see, Andre, can you hear me? Oh no, maybe you can't hear
No,
me.
I can hear
Okay,
you.
now can you
Can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yeah, you're fine.
Oh, good. Strange, it didn't respond right away. And I don't see Andrea or Mayalu's hands, but Andrea, I saw yours and Mayalu's, and Patrick still. Did you guys want to go?
My hand is a ghost hand. I think I'm speaker, but
Yeah.
haven't at this moment nothing to say.
Yeah, I can't see that either. I'll just give you a little bit of information on. So there was the standard qualified majority voting, but then there's another one as well. There's a rarer version of qualified majority voting which requires more. So the higher threshold for qualified majority voting at the EU Council applies in rare cases when the Council acts without a proposal from the European Commission or the High Representative of Affairs and Security Policy. So this is called the reinforced qualified majority vote. I don't think this is going to apply to Ukraine because, well, basically the Commission has put proposals, and so has the Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Council and stuff like that. So they're in. But if it did need to be in this higher level of qualified majority voting, well, at least 75%, at least 72% of member states need to vote in favour, and that means at least 20 out of 27. And those states represent at least 65% of the EU's population. So that contrasts, that 20 out of 27 contrasts with the 15 out of 27, although the 65% of the EU's population thing remains the same. So that's the higher one. So yeah, the population requirement stays the same for both cases, but in the higher percentage of member states needed to make blocking easier. This rule is set out in Article 238 in brackets 2 of the TFEU and reflects the idea that the proposals not originating from the Commission or the High Representative are seen as less aligned with general US interests. So I think it's basically going to be all done on standard qualified majority voting, Patrick, and everyone else who's still awake listening to me explain this.
Oh, besides, because they're North Koreans fighting for Russia, I just wish that even Japan sends its troops to Ukraine, if not South Korea, because I read that the South Koreans don't wish to reunify with the North Koreans, but they also see North Koreans as still their own people. So I don't think South Korea would in any case send their own troops to Ukraine, but I just pray that even Japan sends their own troops.
Yeah, Japan's in there. Japan's got it in a little bit of a legal bind because of its constitution and laws and stuff like that. So it has to change some of its laws first before it can do stuff. It's a little bit like the EU in that respect. The EU likes to kind of follow the law. Sometimes it hides behind the law. Sometimes it wants to change it, but then you got other members who don't want to change it. Japan obviously is sovereign, but yeah, for them to send defense or military equipment and stuff like that, especially troops, I think that goes against their constitution, so they have to do some legal stuff beforehand. They have changed their constitution already a little bit to be able to send certain things to Ukraine, but yeah, it would be nice if they changed it a little bit more as well as
Yeah,
other countries. And
it would have been nice to see for me, because my grandmother on my mother's side was a victim of the Japanese invasion of China in the 1930s. But she because and that's why my grandmother never told me how she lost her other siblings to the Japanese invasion. I only had to watch. When I was growing up, I had to watch history films and read the books, history books about the brutality of the Japanese atrocities in China in the 1930s, and I can compare. I think the Russian occupation of Donbass, the Zaporizhia, and Kherson are much worse than the Japanese. I think the Russian occupiers are much worse than the Japanese occupiers in the 1930s.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I got to take your word for that. I don't really know that much about it. A little bit, but not a hell of a lot. All I know is that the Russians are fucking assholes, and yeah, the atrocities they commit in in Ukraine are just well, just I lose words. I'll probably get the space reported.
Yeah, mm, yeah. So like, I have mixed feelings of the Japanese Prime Minister, current one, Sano Takeichi. But yeah, I still think like yeah, Japan. It would be much better for Japan to send intervene directly in Ukraine, even though I I know it's highly unlikely. Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. Let's focus on what's more likely though
yeah,
than kind of blue sky thoughts, Patrick.
yeah.
My Lou.
Yeah, and agree. But I read about the new Prime Minister of Japan, the new one, and just recently won. Then she praised Trump. So if that is the case, I don't think Japan is going to have any participation because everything that Trump reached is just dark and evil, and it's not going anywhere in Ukraine favor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's going to be any troop boots on the ground anytime soon. I'm hoping, as I don't know who it was, I think Milo or Andrea. I hope it's going to be kind of boots in the air, as it were. That's more likely, but still not very likely, which is a bit of a bummer. But anyway, I wanted to get onto a different subject. Sanctions. Kinetic sanctions is what I want to talk about now. So I like kinetic sanctions. I like Ukrainian kinetic sanctions. So Ukraine kind of announced the other day, President Zelensky announced the other day that Ukraine was sanctioning almost 700 Shadow Fleet tankers in one go. Now that number of tankers basically dwarfs the whole of the list of sanctions tankers that the US has put on sanction, the whole of the EU sanctions list, the whole of everybody's list basically. So Ukraine was a little bit behind actually with the number of tankers sanctioned, but suddenly leapt into the lead. This to me kind of was quite interesting. I think this came either the same day or the day or a day or two after Ukraine, with some sea babies, hit a couple of Russian empty, and that's important, empty Russian oil tankers in the Black Sea. Now, since then, obviously, the Ukrainians have hit another Russian tanker, and the Russians have hit a couple of Turkish ships, one in Odessa, in Chorna, wherever that. So Odessa's got three ports: Odessa port, Chorna something or other, and another one that I can't even remember. And this was in the Chorna whatever port. And this ship goes on a regular route around that part of the Black Sea, dropping things off and picking things up. So I found this kind of quite interesting. This 700 in one go list, and I've got a feeling that the Ukrainians were looking a little bit at the US in this, in a way, because the US, one of the US's justifications for seizing Venezuela's tanker, that was on its shadow fleet list for doing business with Iran and stuff like that, and Venezuela. Basically the Americans turned around and said, well, it's on our sanctions list, so we basically enacted sanctions on the ship. And that's kind of almost like what President Zelensky is doing with these 700 ships. He's basically saying, okay, so basically 700 more ships, more Russian ships are now valid targets. This is why I view it as a targeting list, or a potential targeting list. Here, we sanctioned these Russian ships, and just like America, when it sanctioned a Venezuelan ship, that means we can now take action because we've legally sanctioned them. It's all on the books, and therefore we're going to do something about it, a bit like the Americans did with Venezuela. So whether you agree or not with what the Americans did with that Venezuelan tanker, it kind of did set a slight precedent for other people to do it as well. So on the one side, I don't like America doing things which can set precedents so other people can say, well, America's done it, we're going to do it. So, but like blowing up boats in the sea and stuff like that. Well, America's doing it, says it's okay, so we can do it as well. It doesn't really set a very good example. However, in this case, I kind of quite like this one. Maybe Ukraine saw America doing it and said, well, if America can do it, we can do it as well. What are people's thoughts on that? This big, huge 700 tankers being added to the list in Ukraine. No one's got any thoughts. Oh, we have.
I like this. Yeah, I hope they sink all of them.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with them. I'm quite happy with this maneuver by the Ukrainians. Stick them on a sanctions list and then kinetically sanction them. Obviously, I don't want any full tankers full of oil hit. There was reports of a tanker hit allegedly by Ukrainians in Senegal, and it was full of oil. I don't think that was a Ukrainian strike. I don't think the Ukrainians are going to strike any tankers that are full. Because obviously that's going to cause an environmental disaster. Then you get all the Greenpeace people on your back, and Ukraine doesn't need that. So I think Ukraine will be concentrating on tankers which are empty, which are heading towards pickup points, as it were, and or ships which are carrying well, Russian stuff from other countries, whether that's goods or whether that's munitions. So, for instance, the ship that was hit, the Iranian ship that was hit by the Ukrainians in the Caspian Sea, and that was carrying weapons from Iran to Russia. Perfectly valid target. Doesn't matter where it is, anywhere in the world. And I'd like to see this more and more. I'd like to see ports. One of my dreams is stick a couple of stick some sea babies in some containers, pootle off to the Sea of Japan, open the doors up, plop your little sea baby out, and have them pootle away to Vladivostok and cause merry hell there. That would be kind of nice. And that far away as well, just to show Russia that none of your ports are safe. If we can get to Vladivostok, we can get everywhere. So that was my dream from a couple of years ago. It's finally nice to see Ukraine hitting some tankers. Patrick.
Yes, and also I hope, especially in the Black Sea, I I, I hope they're extra careful, because I watched a Chinese film titled Donkey Rescue. It was released this year. It's based on a true story, because back in World War II, after the Japanese took over British colonies in Hong Kong and Singapore, Malaya, and and Philippines, and much of Southeast Asia, the Japanese would transport some of the British prisoners of war onto the transport ships, the troop ships, without a mark, and never mark those troop ships as carrying prisoners of war, like with flags and or 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 mark any other markings. So uh, so when the American submarines would sink those troop ships, the American captains didn't know that those troop ships, those Japanese ships, are carrying the British and Allied prisoners of war. And when the ships get hit and were about to sink, the Japanese would abandon the Allied POWs in those ships, and to drown those POWs, let them go down with the ship, and and but in that on that story, luckily the Japanese ship was close to a Chinese coastline, so it was only hit by one torpedo, and so it started sinking very slowly for hours and days, but and then between two Chinese fishermen, the younger brother initially wanted to rescue the British POWs on that ship, but his other brother didn't. But then, eventually, all the fishermen agreed to rescue the British POWs, and they rescued 300 out of 1,000. Yeah, and so I hope I'm back in Ukraine's case. I fear some of these ships, Russian ships, traveling between in Crimea or in Novorossiysk, for example. There may be tankers, but I'm afraid suspect some of the tankers might be carrying Ukrainian POWs. So it's just my own worry. So I hope the Ukrainian Navy gets very extra careful not to sink their own fellow Ukrainians.
Yeah, I mean, I've not heard of Russians putting Ukrainian prisoners of war on tankers. Yeah, that may have happened in the past, in past wars, but I haven't heard that happening in this current one. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the Ukrainians are going to have decent intel as well, so they'll know what's on the ships and lots of stuff. Trust in Budanov, as it were. Laura, are you there? I just want to check your microphone's working. I haven't seen that. Oh, you are. I can see your microphone.
I think so. Can you hear me
Yeah, I
okay?
just got to check you there every now and again. If I don't see an emoji for a while, I'm like, oh, Laura's gone. And my app booted me out as well, part way through what Patrick was saying a couple of minutes ago, so I missed about 30 seconds of it. But yeah, let's worry about the stuff that is kind of needs worrying about rather than kind of worrying about stuff which is kind of, kind of a bit blue sky worry. I mean, it's kind of good to worry about those things, but, we'll end up going down a little bit of a rabbit hole. So anything on the ships, in the Black Sea, Laura, from you while we're still on the subject?
That one, no, I'd heard the 700 number, and I think your idea is interesting of like, well, if justice is going to be carried out that way, that's how we will do it. I think it's an interesting concept for sure. It's no, I was thinking about, what Patrick was saying too, and just, man, our countries have done like such horrible things to each other. It's just that idea. I still sometimes can't believe we're in the situation like that basically Russia just had the open door to do this, that we know better from history to stop these sort of conflicts. And I just hope for better oversight of like, we all know the histories of these horrific things, and can we reform or get new institutions that would prevent these sort of conflicts in the future and now to be able to stop them? But no, I really appreciate everyone's contributions. I saw Milu's hand, but now I don't, so it may have been a ghost hand too. Oh, and there's a request.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just actioning the question brought its high miles up. Yeah, I mean, new institutions and all that kind of stuff is nice, but that's kind of for the long term. That's kind of nice to have, but we haven't got it. So park that one. Is in my view anyway. Park that kind of thing. Otherwise you end up going down a rabbit hole which doesn't end for a very, very, very long time. And, yeah, we do need to, we always need to, improve our institutions. I'm going to stick it under that heading. So yeah, you're just gonna wiggle on, but we can't really do that. Ukraine seems to be okay at making changes to law while it's fighting a war, but the rest of the world doesn't seem to be very good at it at the moment. So yes, it is. Hi Mars, welcome.
Hey, long time no talk with. Hey, have you guys talked yet about the U.S. Special Operations boarding of the Chinese vessel and the Iran uh, going to Iran in the Indian Ocean?
No, I didn't hear about that. I heard that the US has, maybe I misread it. I thought the US had boarded another Venezuelan tanker on its way to Cuba, but only ready for a minute. Is that the same one or a
So
different one?
no, this happened last month, and there was no media about it. I just posted it to the nest. Apparently, U.S. Special Operations Forces had been tracking arms shipments from China to Iran, and just parts of missiles and parts of electronics and stuff. So the supply chain, and they saw a bunch of it going on to a ship that was heading to Iran. So they wait till it got out to sea, and then they boarded it, destroyed all the shipment, but let um, the crew sail on to Iran. So kind of sent a message. There was no media about it or anything, but it sent a good back channel message to all of the people supplying Iran with parts. And apparently we're doing the same thing to Russia. It's just never makes the media. They keep it that way.
Yeah, it'd be
Pretty
nice
cool.
if those things made the media. I did read the other day, actually, maybe about a week ago, about South Korea kind of boarding a load of Chinese fishing vessels who were fishing in areas where they shouldn't have. So yeah, there is pushback from various countries, but obviously I'm concentrated on pushback against Russia. So yeah, but this move by President Zelensky, these 700 tankers, I think is a prelude to Ukraine upping its game when it comes to shadow fleet vessels and enacting
Yeah, and that
it.
was approved by the U.S. I posted on that yesterday. It was in the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or whatever. I
Oh,
posted a link.
shove that up in the nest because I haven't read that. That kind of
Okay, let me. I'll go on mute and see if I can find it, and I'll post it to the nest.
brilliant. Yeah, shove that up there because I didn't read that. That kind of makes a little bit of sense with my thoughts that I kind of said a little earlier. I mean, well, I was going to say you can't really say do as I say, not as I do. So if the Americans, as I said before, if the Americans set a precedent, and it is the biggest power in the world, so if America sets a precedent of doing it, it can't really, although it probably can. It probably Trump Olympus regime probably will say, well, we can do it, but you can't because we're bigger than you, and that's how bullies act, basically. So yes, I'm going to be interested to read that. I won't be able to read that while I'm on air, but I'll read that a little bit later. Yeah, those two ships that got hit by the Russians were called the Kerov. Well, I'm not going to actually say the two names. I can't say that. Virat. I can say one of them, but I can't say the other ones. Yes. So, anything to add to that, Laura? Test your mic again. Let's see. See how
No,
fast he gets the
that
mic.
just is really good to know. Yeah, I'm working on it. Thank you. It's him, Mars, because I keep wondering, like, why are these supply lines allowed? And I think we're not sure. Are they coming from North Korea? Are they coming from Iran? It sounds like a great deal of the ballistics are being made inside Russia and those horrific factories with the Shaheeds, but I feel like we could still do more, right? I mean, so much more to stop the supply of these horrific weapons that the Russians are using just en masse in these incredible numbers. Thank you very much, though, for letting us know. I'm looking for your post right now. It's him, Mars. I'll try to find it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Any subject you want to bring up? You bring up the next subject. Oh, we got a Milu first, and you think of a subject to bring up, Laura. I'll bring you on to another subject. We've got loads of subjects to talk about. I just don't want to hog the mic myself. Milu.
Yeah, I'm trying to look in it to see what he mentioning. He's right. The media haven't covered that, but I found this something that it say here. Following a U.S. seizure of Venezuela oil tanker, Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed unwavering support for Nicolas Maduro, a warning against a large conflict. China criticized the U.S. actions, stating in a violated international law and undermines global stability. U.S. President Donald Trump defended the seizure as a part of the effort against drug trafficking and to pressure Maduro. This is so hilarious, because sometimes he say it's about the drug trafficking, and on the other hand, he say, no, it's the Nicolas Maduro regime. But, this is just, it's a back and forth, and I don't believe that stuff because all these guys, at the end of the day, they are holding hands together.
Yeah, it's almost like kabuki theatre, isn't it? So, as Axel used to say back in the day. A lot of this does seem like theatre. For instance, it's the fire hose method. So he just throws out Trump regime will just throw out a load of stuff, just to divert attention from what they're kind of doing behind the scenes, and basically just causes disruption and stuff like that. I mean, on the one hand, kind of Trump sticking it to Xi and Putin is good, but the way he does it is not good. So I'm on the fence on this one. I kind of if the US is going to set precedents, which I don't like, then well, I still won't like them, but I'm going to accept them. And if you can use those precedents for your advantage, then well, use them. So if the US is going to be seizing Venezuelan ships because it's on a US sanctions list, then well, simply the Ukrainians can sanction Russian ships any way they want if it's on the Ukrainian sanctions list. And that's kind of do unto others as you would have them do unto them, else do it back to them with knobs on. It's kind of one of my mantras for life, basically. Laura, I can see your microphone is undone, which either means you're about to speak or sometimes it means you're not there. This is one of the little Twitter bugs that happens. Laura? Oh, you
Yeah,
are there.
no, I was on mute. Can you hear me
Yeah, I can
okay?
see. I didn't see your microphone muted, and sometimes when that happens, I'm like, no, that means you fell out. But I'm so used to falling out your seat. I'm quite surprised you haven't fell out your seat. You haven't fell out your seat yet, Laura. You've done really well today. You must have got super glue on your butt or something like that. You've done excellently.
I know I should thank Twitter, I suppose, because it hasn't been the washing machine experience yet. I'm waiting for that, but I'm grateful that we're not having the same problems. Again, other people may have found that too, like in the host position. I didn't find that. I didn't get bumped once, and I was really thinking like this may not work at all, but it was only maybe like 2 to 3 hours, but nothing. So I'm hoping the spaces are getting better. I'm still not seeing it's Hinmar's post. I was looking for that. And Milu, that one you had sounded kind of
Which post are you looking for?
concerning. Oh, thank you. The one you mentioned about the boarding of the Chinese ship. Did you
I
put
put
it
it in
in
the.
the purple pill?
Yeah, it's up in the nest. I can see it up in the
It's
nest.
in the nest.
Oh, okay. I need to just reload it somehow. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for doing that though, because that
If you're on a
does
laptop,
sound
you
like important things.
probably won't see it because
Oh.
um, if you're on a laptop, in case anybody doesn't know, you can't scroll through the nest. You can only see two posts.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a tip.
X still hasn't fixed that. Maybe I'll put it in the
Purple pill.
purple
Yeah,
pill. Or can you copy it down for us?
I can do that for you, Hi Mars. I can stick it in a purple pill.
Thanks.
So yeah,
Thanks.
anybody who wants to put a post in the nest, also put it in a purple pill as well. It helps in both places. One, in the nest is good when you're on your phone, you can just flick through, but as soon as the space closes, unless you're on your phone, if you're on a laptop, you can't see those posts anymore. So it's kind of good if they're in both places, as it were. So I'll do that for you. It's a Hi Mars.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I just wanted to go back to a topic we were talking about before. So we did talk about the US and its security guarantees and with its Trump-Lumpa administration, what these security guarantees would be worth. And there was something that I saw the other day, actually. Was it the other day? Yeah, yesterday, in fact. It was from the imprisoned former Georgian president, Saakashvili. And I'm glad he's still alive, actually, because he's still being held by the Georgian government over there, as I understand it, and he's not in good shape. But he's kind of warned Ukraine against relying on US security guarantees, and I'd kind of replace that with Trump regime security guarantees. Citing, and I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, this is where it came up where I mentioned it, citing South Vietnam's collapse after Washington abandoned its promises. So during the Vietnam War, the Americans withdrew from Vietnam, gave the South Vietnam government security guarantees, which basically weren't worth the paper they were written on, and things happened there. So go Himos.
There's something else that happened that very few people are reporting on. I'll put it in the nest, and then maybe I'll see if I can copy it to the post. Yeah, but about Russian logistics, especially ammunition, missiles, you name it. Back in early December, Ukrainian hackers wiped out over 165 terabytes of data from the Russian logistics giants L-Trans Plus, they're a key supplier of Russia's missile factories. Over 700 servers were obliterated and all cargo declarations were wiped. So something it doesn't say in this story, by the way, is that when Russia has been trying to bring the servers back up, and since they can't get more servers, they're having to use the same ones. And Ukraine has made it so when they try to restore them, their software still sits there, so they have a complete window into Russian military logistics now. There's another article on that. I'm going to dig up on that, and I'll post that as well if I can find it again. But I read that yesterday, so anyway.
That's nice. It's always very good to have a worm or whatever, or to have
Yep.
to have access to your enemy's data, as it were.
Yep. Yeah. The long-term effects are going to be astronomical. So it not only tells you, because you don't want to just wipe out the logistics data-wise. You want to know where they're going so you know what to target, right? So
Yeah,
it makes your
destruction.
ammunition more efficient.
Yeah, destruction is usually the last thing you've done. Once you've got all the information you want, then you destroy everything. But if you can make hay by sitting in there and being a man in the middle attack in effect, and just sitting there reading their data, a bit like the British reading German codes and breaking it when we broke Enigma in World War II, that kind of thing.
Yep, that's exactly what's happening.
Excellent. Budanov. Love him. If he ever smiles, that's going to be one of those. A red letter day. What are your thoughts on that, Laura? I'll see you giving the hearts and stuff like that.
That one, and I'm so sorry I did miss some of it. Was it about the codes? It was basically code breaking?
The Russians, the Ukrainians have got into quite a few Russian servers, and instead of just wiping the servers so the Russians can rebuild them, they've stuck a bit of software on there, so that even if the Russians do rebuild their servers, maybe it's in the firmware or something like that, that their spyware, the Ukrainian spyware, is still on the Russians' machine, and the Russians don't even know about it. So they can read their.
So basically, Ukraine can now see all of the Russian military logistics. So in real time.
Brilliant. Milo.
That's amazing.
Go, Laura.
Yes, and here, regarding to that, I think I read that watching in Telegram for one of the many soldiers that I followed in there. They want to mention about that. Actually, they haven't been made it public, but I know the Russians, the Ukrainian soldiers have been talking about that in between each other a lot. The other thing that they haven't making public is then Ukrainian army have been attacking a lot of military points in Crimea. The attack has been non-stop, and they haven't making that public either.
Yeah, they're hitting them as they come in now, because now they know the logistics routes and exactly when they're going to, what they want to hit is going to be at any particular point at any particular time. So it makes it's like shooting ducks. So in Crimea right now.
Yeah, I'm just reading about
They're gonna do the Crimea beach party soon.
Yeah, I was just reading about that now. So yeah, the Ukraine's main intelligence unit, HUR, in collaboration with the hacker group BO team, conducted a cyber attack of L-Trans Plus, one of Russia's largest logistics and customs brokerage company. So that company basically handles shipments for 5,000 Russian businesses, including sanctions goods and military electronic equipment. So yeah, basically. They did, so one of the things they did do some destruction, but obviously they put software on there as well. So they destroyed 165 terabytes of critical data, disabled 700 computers while sticking software on there, and servers while sticking software on there for when they've rebuilt them, they'll still be there, and deleted more than 1,000 user accounts. So they cause a lot of trouble there. This was on December the 6th, this year, actually. So basically,
Yep.
8 days ago. Awesome. I hadn't read that. I missed that one because I was kind of
Yeah.
out of the loop for about
But
that month. Go, Hamos.
by the way, yeah, if you read, there's some Telegram channels, like she said, that follow this, and the attack actually was a slow motion attack during the month of November. It was just published in early December, right? So, anyway, I happen to follow a couple of Ukrainian, how do you say, let's just say intelligence private accounts that kind of let things be known and then picked up by other channels. So
Excellent. Good stuff. Right, well, I hope more of that kind of thing happens, and I hope when they rebuild those servers that the Ukrainians are all over them. Hang on, my mouse has stopped working. Laura, give me 30 seconds while I get my mouse working again. Oh, it's working again. It's all right. I must have a bit of fluff in there. There we go. We're okay again now. Right then, Laura, let's talk fundraisers. What's your favourite fundraiser, or your favourite, or three fundraisers you want to talk about at the moment, and then we can bunk some posts in the nest regarding those fundraisers. Is Nicolette still on, by the way?
And I've been trying to follow up on that. I'm sorry. I have her post up, and I'm going to try to see if I can find if it's
She's coming.
pinned.
She's
The
coming. I
he's
mentioned the
here.
name, and there's a
Yay!
request. So yeah, that was good. Basically, if anybody's got any fundraisers they want to promote, just give us a shout. Just come up and speak, and we
I'm
will
here.
promote. Hi, Nicolette. Tell us about your
Hi, how are
fundraiser.
you? Yes, well, this is for a truck for the Sting unit. Mally is I think that's how you pronounce it. He's the leader of the unit. And if you'll see, all the donations go directly to his PayPal. So I'm just here to help them. You know, they're too busy doing other stuff. They don't have time to fundraise. So that's why they asked me, and it's the first time I've ever done it, and it's it's not easy, but I'll tell you that when you know the units and how hard, what they're doing, then the least we can do is help them out and try and fundraise. And all the other fundraisers are so busy. That's why they actually asked me. And I thought, well, I've never done it before, but so I'll start now. And I know you see lots of them for vehicles because vehicles don't last long. And it's not like they have lots of armored personnel carrier or other, ways of transportation. So that's why you see cars and trucks and besides the drones and jammers, we might not be able to crowdfund a war, but we can certainly supplement and help in any way we can. So we have a raffle going on. So, if you'd like to get some raffle tickets, we still have some matching left as well. Please consider buying some raffle tickets. Thank you.
Brilliant. Now, if you can stick up in the nest,
that's
Nicolette,
awesome.
stick up in the nest, Nicolette, your fundraiser, and stick it in the purple pill as well. Unless you need some help doing that, and then I can do that for you. I think we've got it in the nest already, but stick it up there again.
Okay, I'll put it in the nest. And I'll see if I can do it in the pill.
Yeah, just stick in the pill as well, but then that'll appear later on, and get you some reach and all that kind of engagement stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just put another one in the space, shared to the space. The one I was talking about before, it was the Atlantic that had an article in there about the U.S. giving Ukraine carte blanche approval to hit the Russian oil tankers, the Shadow Fleet.
Oh, brilliant! I need to read that one as well. I mean, it was implied that they could do it, but it's good that they actually gave a green light. Awesome! I can't wait to read that. Milu.
Yeah. First, I want to say, hi, mommy. Nicole is my mama, my spiritual mama.
Justin,
And
I
support.
love you, baby.
I love you too, mama. So, talking about fundraisings, I just put it earlier at the beginning of the postcard, but I wanted to talking about it again. My first fundraising is for Yuri Ganaid. Okay, he's a soldier from the 78 Airborne Assault Team, Hunter Team. Okay, this is a young man. With his team, they doing an amazing job, and the car is broken, so they need support to repair the car. I'm gonna put it again, but please, it's just a few dollars left, so let's gonna push it to close this fundraising. It's my first one. I'm just like Mama with the first one. So you guys can help. I really appreciate it. Retweet, boost, donate. Even $1 is help. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Laura, for all the support. My first fundraising.
Wow, we got a couple of Virgin fundraisers here then. We got Nicolette and we got Milu. I haven't stepped into that domain yet. I'm scared the crap out of me. There's no way I would touch money, which neither of you are doing. But yeah, just the whole, I don't know. I think I get demoralized. If I didn't get donations for a day, I'd get all pissed off. We shall see happen online actually, but it's kind of,
I have a tongue-in-cheek fundraiser going on, personal one. I put a funny post out on X and Facebook the other day to, hey, all crypto lovers, here's the next gold rush. I'm selling U.S. pennies for $5 each. Get in now.
excellent, excellent. Actually, he just reminded me of a story that's actually true. So Operation Spider's Web, I think it's I don't know if the SB, anyway, some Ukrainian organization has decided to mint some coins commemorating
There
Operation
you go.
Spider's Web, and you can buy them.
That's great.
They're only making
That's a great idea.
They're only making 75,000 coins apparently, so I hope they make a few more than that, and I hope they're available everywhere. It's a bit like the stamps that came out and still come out, the collector's items. So, I mean, basically anything to raise money for Ukraine, basically. And if it's going to be a coin commemorating Operation Spider's Web, well, fair enough, excellent. I think there's a lot of people, judging by the remarks that I saw on the announcement that I saw regarding that, a lot of people they're going to sell out like hotcakes. So yeah, I just put, I think, did I just put it in? Yeah, I just put Rima Med, fundraiser in the nest as well. So Shovel Girl, if you want to come up and talk about that one, I saw your comment, mentioning Rima Med, so that caused me, to stick it up in the nest. If you want to come up and talk about that fundraiser, or if anybody wants to talk about, Rima Med's fundraisers, I think I put the right one up in the nest, unless there's another one. It might be a retweet of other ones she's doing. Oh, hang on a second. Yeah, she retweets a lot of other fundraisers, so I might have got the wrong one. So if anybody wants to come up and put Rima Med's actual fundraiser in the nest and in the purple pill, do that, because I might have got the wrong one. Right then, so it's Patrick and then Nicolette. Patrick.
Yeah, no, I think I might be under bot attack because I try to message other people through this app, including Nicolette, but my message never reached. It doesn't seem to have reached her
Oh, that's
ever
a
since.
standard thing, Patrick. I mean, me and Laura have difficulties messaging each other with chat these days, and we don't get any notifications. Chat and DMing is fucked, basically, Patrick, to put a technical term on it.
Yeah. Oh, like if Nicolette may have heard the fire in Hong Kong, like actually my luckily my parents went there. Yeah, and so back to Russia. Have you heard the Russian Air Force AN-22 transport plane disintegrated uh, before falling into a reservoir?
I saw that video. It was great. plane basically
Yeah.
split in half. I've been waiting for this for 3 years actually. So on one of the other stations, Ming the Merciless, he works in the airlines, and he's basically been saying that Russian planes are going to start falling out of the sky because of a lack of maintenance. And we've been waiting for this for years and years and years, and finally, a Russian plane literally broke up and fell out of the sky, and I've been waiting for that. So I'm hoping very many more. I mean, this was kind of good because it was military people, but I don't particularly care actually, to tell you the complete truth. I just want to see Russian planes falling out of the sky, because of lack of maintenance. That would cheer me up something wrong. So when I saw that one, I honestly thought it was AI first of all, Patrick, because it just looked like that shouldn't happen to a plane. But it was real.
Yeah, it's real.
Awesome. And, well, it fell into a reservoir. All 7, Russian military, personnel died. So job's good. Thank you, plane. It needs to get florked, that plane, basically. And, what was it? An AN-22 needs to get a floor cat. Nicolette?
Well, I was able to DM. I couldn't seem to share it in the purple pill or the nest for whatever reason, but I did DM it to Laura and Sir Shaggy. So I hope that can help. Who knows? Something is always broken on here. And yeah, chats have just been terrible. But it's, one time it'll let you do something and the next time it won't.
Did you,
So go figure.
did you DM me Shaggy or did you DM me Tryzub? Because I'm looking at my Tryzub DMs and I can't see anything.
Well, I can't DM you because you don't follow me back, but I did DM Sir Shaggy.
Oh, hang on. Technical fault there then. I've got to start doing that then. Following back and stuff like that. Oh yeah. I suppose I set on this account, on this Tryzub account, I set it so only people who follow can DM, which is probably a bit rubbish actually. I was just getting sick of that spam folder, clearing it out all the time. I'll sort that out, Nicolette. I'll give it a think first of all. Oh, Shovel Girl.
Yeah. Well,
I've managed.
and I also sent it to Laura.
All right, excellent. I've enticed Shovel Girl up. I haven't spoken to Shovel Girl for ages. Shovel Girl. Right, let's see if you're up. Yeah, you're up. Oh, I think you're up. You disappeared again now. Oh, I thought you were up.
Are you talking to me?
Oh yeah, you are there. Shovel Girl. Yay, how are you doing?
Hi. I'm batting down the hatches. It's about to get in the teens here, so I'm preparing. Hi, Nicolette. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I put the actual post that I meant to do. I forgot to, copy and paste the post from Rima but I noticed she's been pushing that lately. I think it's for vehicles, so I think you put the wrong one in. If you'll look in the chat, um, it is for drones. Like she's helping Cloudy with the chance of drones to do that. But I know that they're all like stretched thin right now. So any way we can help, and especially around the holidays, and especially now that like it seems like they're even launching more stuff. So while like it's good that they're spending all their money, I hate it for the Ukrainians right now. Also, I put 2 posts in that I saw from Michael Weiss this week that were really interesting. Can y'all hear me? Because
Yeah,
I know this app's
yeah. Can you
okay.
5x5?
Okay, excellent. Also, I'm just so glad to see you, Shay.
Yeah, it's been a
Okay,
while.
so I know it has. So Michael Weiss he did an art, or he posted, it's like a Substack post, but basically there were these 7 German journalism students who were tracking drones over, I think, the Black Sea. Trying to look. And they saw that like there were 2 ships that were flying under Antigua and Barbuda flags, and they were near Germany. Um, and they were just kind of going in circles. They didn't have any planned stops or deliveries And so these students started kind of keeping an eye on them and monitoring where they were going. And it ended up, they ended up tracking these ships launching 1,955 drones in 2025. So they were all flying around defense installations in Europe. So, you know, like we knew stuff like this was going on, but to the extent that they're, verifying it, that's really shocking. Like I know that there was the incident with Zelensky flying into Ireland, but then when we found out about that, we found out about some other instances. So what the, like it's active measures all the time. That I just thought people would think it was interesting, and also if you live in those countries, you would need to be aware. Um, let's see. The other thing, also from Michael Weiss. Let me go back. Okay, so speaking of active measures, in addition, there was a California grand jury indictment which exposed Russian GRU hackers targeting critical infrastructure in the U.S. So, wake the fuck, sorry, excuse me, wake up, Trump. They hit by electronically hacking, they hit a regional airport in Missouri, a drinking water storage facility in Texas, Pennsylvania, and Indiana, and a meat packing facility in California. One cyber attack caused 200,000 gallons of water to overflow in Texas, and another caused 2,000 pounds of meat to spoil. So, I mean, it's happening. They're targeting all of us, and I also wanted y'all to be aware of that. But I'm trying to catch up. There's a lot. Everything's falling apart here in the U.S., but it isn't too. We had a election here in my little neck of the woods, in Georgia, and it ended up becoming national news because we flipped the seat blue. So that was great. I mean, it was like by 200 votes, but I just want to say your votes matter. I got people out to vote, and I'm really excited because, we're pushing back against the MAGA machine.
Oh,
So.
excellent. What election was that in Georgia? Was it a local one, a state one?
It's a state House of Representatives representative. One of our guys decided he was dropping out the guy that was representing us said he needed to step back to do professional stuff. I don't know, but he never had like prepared his party. And there was another guy who's been active politically, but not. I don't think he's run before, and he threw his hat in the ring, and he did some really great advertising, mailers, like was just kind of trolling this guy and his love of Trump, and it worked, I guess. Or maybe people just don't. Some people who are Republican don't care, like are not happy with the party or not getting out to vote. I don't know. I haven't searched into how people, like, if they've been digging into how it worked out that way, but I just know I got in touch with a lot of people, and I'm proud of us. Like, I was really kind of shocked because this is I think it's a plus 12 Republican district. So it was a big deal. He'll only be there till next year, and then there will be another election, but, it's exciting.
That's good. That definitely shows it's making a difference. Only 200 votes. That shows that everybody who tried to get people out to vote probably did make a difference, actually. Otherwise, those 200 may not have got out, and therefore it would have been a completely different result. I hadn't heard about the Georgia election. I had heard about some Miami mayor election as well.
There's Miami and I think something in Indiana too. But yeah, it all kind of happened at the same time. So it's a beacon of light.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Indiana thing was something. Was that a vote on the redistricting that didn't get passed or something, which is good? or maybe something else?
Possibly. Maybe Milu or some. I don't know. Like, there's just.
No worries.
I'm also in charge at my work now, so like, I feel like a juggler. Da, da, da.
Don't worry.
Trying to keep
Don't worry.
track.
Snippets of information, and then we'll mash it together ourselves. Milo, any information on that?
Well, what I hear is then, first of all, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's resigning. So
Oh yes, we are super excited about that.
exactly, we're super excited about that.
Also suspicious because what is she scheming? You know, like she's trying to remake her image, and we're afraid that she's trying to go bigger. You know, but anyway, I actually got to interview. I do some other Democratic stuff in country, and we got to interview Sean Harris, who was going to be her challenger, but is still running for her district. And he's a Democrat. He's actually a cattle farmer. He's a former Admiral General or I can't remember. The military stuff jargon is hard for me. Anyway, he's a extremely respectable and he's tough. Like he's not gonna back down from any kind of fight. He's actually he said he's traveled around with a lot of these people around a lot of the representatives around the world. Like he's actually served the US around the world. So he's something to watch for sure.
Now, regarding to California, you mentioned about the cyber attack. I haven't heard anything about it, but what has been happening here a lot, and I'm very concerned, is a lot of earthquakes. I have the earthquake app, and it keeps telling me there is a tons and tons of earthquakes here in California, miles away from where I live. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I just keep telling my daughter, let's gonna be prepared.
Yeah, I'm concerned too because it's like because we don't have transparent coverage of what's going on in our world right now, or they're gonna downplay things that might affect what they want to do in this administration. What is going on that we're not aware of? That just like scratching the surface there.
The only thing I'm very sure is Governor Newsom he had declared the war against Trump. He is standing on his ground and he's not let him do with California whatever he want to do.
I love how Newsom has like kind of unilaterally been making treaties pretty much with other countries around the world. I think and that's what we're having to see. Like different states are actually changing or attempting to change their constitutions to push back against what this administration's doing. But I loved it. I was just like, so Trump can't make a any kind of agreement with Denmark, but Gavin Newsom can.
I was just reading a post from and thanks for Liam Nissen for sticking this on your timeline as well. There was. It seems a bit ridiculous. So in the States at the moment, the White House is withdrawing some bloke called Joe Franciscan, who was the nominee for the National Security Agency's deputy director. So they withdrew his nominee-ship, whilst at the same time there's basically there's nobody in charge of Cyber Command at the moment in the US, which considering that report that came out saying the Russians had committed quite a few cyber attacks against Americans on American soil, seems just crazy. Shovel girl on my lid.
Oh yeah, we're FUCK. Like we've got the worst people in charge right now. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's really sad. It's like I have no faith in they're protecting us. Um, it's, they're very introverted. It seems like just, oh, we're so exposed right now. We're so vulnerable, really.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
we
not great.
are.
Yeah, it's not great, and I really hope it sorts itself out soon. But thanks for putting those. I had read those two articles, those two Michael Weiss articles about the hacking in the States and things like that. He's on my. I've got this list, the best of the best list, and he's on that basically. So yeah, he's also talking about some spying as well. So he just came out saying the Austrian criminal tasked his former business associate turned henchman. So this is a member of the about a Bulgarian Russian spy ring that was convicted in the UK earlier this year. So he's talking about that as well. I'll shove that I'll put that in the purple pill. So basically the Russians, as I've been worried about for over the past couple of years, I've been keeping an eye out on this. I was wondering when the Russians were going to start upping their hybrid warfare against Europe and against the rest of the world, basically. And that seems to be what they've been doing over the past month, is activating sleeper cells. There's been various reports of sleeper agents. There was one amusing report of a Russian sleeper agent caught. I think she was based in Spain at one point, and then she went back to Russia, and they managed to find out who this Russian sleeper agent real name was, based through a cat. So basically she had a cat. She had a cat in Russia. Obviously, travel around with a cat, around the world, basically. You need it to get chipped, and it'll have a unique chip. I can't remember the guy's name who broke this report, but I thought it was excellent.
Christo Grozov
That's the one,
was
yeah.
that, I think.
Exactly. So the cat lady, I think they're calling her as well. So basically, she kind of moved their cat to Spain or wherever it was, registered it with the vet, and then basically, so they managed to find out the number, the tracking number of this cat, and then did some searching in Russia, in vets and stuff like that in Russia, managed to find the same number, and managed to find out who this woman was, actually, this Russian sleeper agent, all through her cat. Well done, cat. That cat needs florking. I think as well. So yeah, it's amazing what you can do. And even when you're careful, well, you gotta love your cat, I suppose. But cats can get you in trouble, as I know. And my one's next to
Hopefully
me.
your cat's doing well, but
Oh, he's fine. What's he's
um,
fine? You know, I get a little bit worried because he's 15 now, and I keep on seeing occasional posts of people losing their animals. And when they say my cat's died, he was 15, I'm like, oh shit, much he's 15. I'm gonna be in bits when he passes.
I've got a cat at my work. I call her my other boss. She is 24. So there's hope. If he's sassy, that's a good thing because she's really sassy.
He is sassy, and that's the one thing that's slightly worrying me about him now. He's getting less sassy. So now, it took him about 10 years before he sat on my lap or did anything like that, and now he just goes straight to my lap. And basically, I normally have my laptop on my lap, and he wants to sit on my laptop. And we have a bit of a fight. He always wins, obviously. But I'm not looking forward to that day, actually, the Rainbow Bridge Day. So if anybody who's lost their pets recently or ever, basically, I don't want to feel your pain, but I'm probably going to be feeling your pain at some point, and I'm not looking forward to it. Anyway, okay, Laura. There's loads of topics we could talk about, but any one specific one you want to bring up? I like you bringing up the topic, you see, and then I can yak about it if I know anything about it.
I thought, no, and Travel Girl, thank you so much for coming up. I seen that I saw those in the comments, and I thought they were really important. That, like, one thing I was thinking about with Shovel Girls was just, we may need to make clear to our representatives in the US that we're aware, that Russia could do these things, but I feel like it may be important to say, like, from my perspective, I don't care. Like, I don't want anyone harmed here, but I don't want to, like, have the world divided up just because Russia could hack into the water system. I think we could figure it out. I don't want us to cower to them and to, give up Ukraine or other places because we have some cybersecurity problems. And I don't mean to dismiss that, but that may be something we need to make clear to our representatives, because sometimes I can't figure out why we're bending to them. And again, I don't mean to dismiss that. I don't want anyone harmed, but I feel like we should be able to figure that sort of thing out. In terms of other topics,
I just
I
Just
think we've. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just a little bit of breaking news, which is not really news, but so apparently in Berlin, the negotiations between US and Ukrainian negotiators has ended. The meeting lasted more than 5 hours. This is from Max 25. President Zelensky will comment on the progress of the negotiations tomorrow, after another round will be completed. So obviously a two day meeting between Ukraine representatives and the US representatives on these peace negotiations or surrender negotiations, or whatever you want to call them. So that's going to go into tomorrow. And obviously, as I mentioned before, tomorrow's a big day with the European foreign ministers meeting going on at the same time as this impromptu summit, as it were, in Berlin, with the Americans and Ukrainians and European leaders as well. So we're not going to probably get much news about what's been discussed in that meeting today from President Zelensky, although we'll probably get a few little snippets from people, but maybe President Zelensky is not going to say anything until after the meeting tomorrow. But I'd be surprised if some of the politicians who are in that meeting don't come out and say something, at least give an idea of kind of what went on. So just a little bit of an update there. Laura, back to you.
I think we've covered lots of the main topics. I know I could forget because I think like Shovel Girls were great and those were things that were in the news recently. Even just checking in if people are doing okay with this and if they want to share any coping skills too. I feel like I should just add those in every now and then of just if you're having a hard time, try diversion activities. I don't know if other people are experiencing that. I think the last few weeks have been harder just to sometimes I find the anxiety a little more disruptive of I'd like to get it out of the way and just write my representatives more instead of worrying about stuff. But I'll try to post more in future spaces also. But yeah, if anyone wants to share any ideas about coping and continuing to endure, to keep going, to help Ukraine and others, that would be great. But no, I'm not actually thinking of other topics. If so, anyone in the audience too, I would definitely welcome them of things they think are important because I'm sure I've forgotten things.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just realised we've probably only got about 15 minutes left before David Deep Space starts. Normally 8 o'clock in the evening. It's about 15 minutes. So I've got one more thing I wanted to talk about actually, which I haven't talked about all session, which is very important today, especially. But we'll go to, I can't remember if it was Milo or Shovel Girl first.
Miley.
Yes, there is an important topic that it have been coming in the news lately. It's regarding to the Ukraine's European Union integration, only way to secure peace. The lady Cross, she is suggesting that his membership by 2027 is technically possible. Let's gonna keep finger crossed and that happen.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. Shovel Girl.
Okay, I'm trying to find. So, Laura, probably I feel like it was like a year ago or so. Bellingcat actually put out a thing about coping strategies because a lot of their analysts, the people that help them, actually have a friend who is like helping them. Um, the stuff they see, I mean, this is out of the norm and we can get really affected by it personally, but they put out a publication about how they help their analysts to cope. Part of it is, as we usually talk about, stepping away. If you have to, personal preservation, like take some time for yourself. There are some other things that I've instituted that they suggested, like making sure whenever you're on, social media and stuff and tracking things about Ukraine or just any, like not having volume automatically play on videos, not having videos automatically play. Like when you see them, you'll see the description and you choose whether or not you want to interact with that post. So it's just like kind of making a buffer for yourself. And yeah, I'm gonna look for it and see if I can find it. Also, that there was one more thing I wanted to say. I got a postcard sent in the mail. It was actually a letter containing a postcard. It was from Raison for Ukraine. And I thought it was brilliant because what they've done is they already composed like an email, I mean, a postcard with like a little paragraph for my representative. It even has a stamp on it. I am a little worried they put WA for Washington rather than Washington DC, so I think I'm gonna have to write on that to make sure it goes to them. But I just think this strategy is really good to just cut through, like, rather than asking people to do all these extra steps. Like, all I gotta do is make sure I change this Washington thing, like the address, but it's gonna be sent to my representative. And I think this is a way that, some organizations should try to go about this too, because I just think it's gonna be really effective. If my rep, if all our reps get a lot of cards like this, and this one specifically about Christmas, and on the front it's got an illustration by a kid from Ukraine, which is really sweet. So that's all.
Yeah, those things, especially personalized messages. So maybe use what they've given you, the template they've given you, and yeah, obviously change it to Washington DC if it needs to be changed there. Maybe actually send them an email telling them, do they mean Washington or do they mean Washington DC, so they can send out the next bunch of postcards with the correct mailing address. It might help them out a little. It might be a bit of an oversight for them. But yeah, and personalize it a little bit as well. Maybe add a couple of lines. Those things do help, those templates. CC used to do them all the time, back in the day. Probably, still does as well. So yeah, coming from Raison as well. Very, very good. I like that. I just wanted to say one thing first, which I haven't mentioned all the time. So I woke up this morning, and then heard about what was going on in Australia. So I just want to, send my thoughts and condolences to everyone in Australia, with what's going on. I'm just reading from Polymarket Intel now. The Australian officials are now saying that 16 people, including a child, have now, died following, the shooting in, Sydney's Bondi Bridge by a couple of guys. There was one video I saw of another Australian chap tackling one of the guys, one of the terrorists, who had a shotgun or something like that in his hand as well. So he ended up getting shot by the second terrorist, but apparently he's in hospital, shot in the shoulder and the leg, and apparently he's okay. But thoughts go out to those 16 people and the others who are injured as well in Australia. So I was trying to follow that a little bit today. But that's just the latest update I've got on that for those. Well, basically all of us are interested in that. It's a horrible thing. Nicolette.
Well, I was just going to mention that as long as they have the zip code on there, because usually the post office follows the zip code. So if they have the Washington DC zip code, that it
Honestly, I'm
works.
looking at it right now, and they got the zip code wrong. They put my zip, like, I'm definitely gonna have to reach out to them. So it's good in theory, but yeah, if anybody else gets these in the US, make sure you check the address for delivery. Not good.
Yeah, definitely reach out to them and yeah, maybe get some sticky labels. So yeah, hopefully they sort that out. Actually, that's a little bit of an oversight, should we say? We don't want postcards being sent, well, to the bin basically, or to the place that will never get to the recipient. That's not good. Right then, so it's 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Anything final for anybody on the panel? Laura, anything you want to add?
I see Patrick's hand though too. Patrick, were you waiting to speak?
Yeah, I was other news. It's Azerbaijan gave the because of the visa-free deal with China, so Chinese Russian women are leave for enter China and becomes very submissive to the Chinese boyfriends or husbands. That Russia's getting outraged and saying in Chinese. Yeah. Like if I return to Hong Kong, I think I would see Russian girls, but No way I would want to date Russian girls. Yeah, no way. They're all responsible. Yeah, and I also shared in the nest that the that thing, the post saying that the war is becoming more expensive for Russia because they're getting less in oil revenues and the sanctions are still in place, so that drives up the prices of purchasing war material. Yeah, and besides, like Sir Shaggy, you were. I wonder if you met those Hong Kongers in London who were commemorating the fire.
Yeah, I never managed to make it into London in the end. It's doable, but it was a bit too far that day. I had some things to
All
do.
right, at least we can. Well, at least we can meet. Yeah,
Exactly. I was thinking about them though, which obviously doesn't help too much. But yeah, I thought about going. I thought maybe I could go, yeah, and then I got a phone call from the ex-wife and I had to do some work.
it's all right. Yeah, it's okay. At least we can still meet.
No,
Oh, yeah, regarding the terrorist attack in Australia. Well, maybe that's what they get for rewarding terrorism. You reward terrorism, and then other terrorists will come after you.
yeah, I don't think Australians are rewarding terrorism though. They've got
I mean,
strong.
like recognize Albanese recognizing Palestine as a state right after Hamas attack, like 2 years after the October 7th attack. Yeah, but
Yeah, you could link those two
well,
together.
like
I definitely don't want to get into the Middle Eastern topics debate on the
yeah,
Ukraine channel.
me too.
Yeah, so
On
we'll park that one then, Patrick. I just wanted to say that
yeah,
I've put one more last thing in the purple pill so people can read it. I was going to close the space a little bit so we don't overlap David D's space. So Michael Weiss has put out, another tweet. It was actually retweeted by another guy that I respect a lot, Alex Arufoglu. Probably didn't pronounce his name right. So, yeah, I've lost it again now. So he's basically saying the same as what I said earlier on. So basically after years of dithering then, Brussels is putting its thumb on the scales in the so-called peace process, over, Ukraine's future. The disabling of holdout members' vetoes will do much more for the EU's economic security than anything proposed in the strategy update. So this is what I was saying before. This EU action of moving this Ukraine frozen assets issue from unanimous voting to qualified majority voting is going to be is a big move, as Michael Weiss puts it. Brussels is putting its thumb on the scales. It's doing something now. It's doing something which has got teeth. It's only one thing. And the EU has done other things, but it's all been a bit wishy-washy. But to me, this is the shift that we've been waiting for the past nearly 4 years now from the EU to actually do something not dithery. Yeah. So
May,
after years of dithering, not
may I
dithering.
ask, that particular article has a paywall, so if anyone has a way to gift it, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, it's FT, isn't it? I fucking hate that. Yeah, sorry, I can't gift anything. I can't gift an FT article. What I normally do is I normally highlight what he's quoted and then ask Grok to go and find the rest of the article for me. It can find a way around the paywalls somehow. I don't know how
That's
it does it,
clever.
but that's kind of how I do it. I just say, "What's the rest of this article, Grok?" And it'll tell me, or most often tell me anyway. So that's how I find out. Or with Michael Weiss, you got to wait until tomorrow, then he gives the free version out. But yeah, Michael Weiss is generally a good source. I think I agree with 95% of what he says. Some of the things, not so much, but he's generally pretty good. So with that, Laura or anybody on the panel, any final words before we close up?
Slava Ukraini.
Heroям
Air
slava.
Slava.
Heram Slava.
Slava.
Slavanatsi.
Shovel Girl, thank you so much for that resource too. That's wonderful. It's good just to hear people talking about it. Thank you
Oh
so
yeah,
much.
let
And
me,
for
I'm gonna go
everyone,
find
thank you
it
so
for
much for
you
everyone
and I'll
speaking and
send
listening.
it.
Don't give up, everyone. We can do it. Thank you, loves. Love you guys.
Yaku, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, go Shovel Girl. You were just saying something.
Oh, I just wanted to say I need to go find that, and I'll put it on my profile too. I'll pin it so if anybody else needs it.
All right, we'll do. All right,
Take
we'll do.
care, everybody.
Cheers, and I'll be a bit more regular with spaces. I've had kind of about a month or so kind of off, or off and on anyway, over the past month or so, sort of sorting out my mental health. I'm all very good at giving people advice. Make sure your own oxygen mask is fitted first before helping others, and my oxygen mask fell off, so it fell a little bit, so I had to stick it back on again for a little bit, and then go and hide in the corner for a month while I sorted myself out. I wasn't completely doing nothing for Ukraine. I just wasn't feeling like talking in spaces or anything. I just feel like doing stuff in the background, so that's what I did. But I'll be a bit more in the foreground from now on. So yeah, keep an eye out on Tryzub Radio UA's timeline. I'll have a chat with Laura in the background, and we'll see when the next space is. Possibly tomorrow. Because it's Monday. Volley Radio has some things on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, which means we don't have a big enough gap between their sessions and David D's starts. So Tuesday and Wednesdays are kind of Volley Radios, and then Mondays, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday could be Tryzub Radios round about this time. Probably from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon UK time, 6 o'clock Kyiv time, and basically the same time as this space, either a 4-hour space, or if I'm being lazy, then maybe start at 6 o'clock, 2 hours later, and be a 2-hour space. But I like doing these 4-hour spaces because then we can talk about a lot of different topics, and just generally be there for Ukrainian supporters. So hopefully you've enjoyed the space. And yeah, keep an eye out for the next one. It'll be up on Spotify, probably in around about half an hour. As soon as the space closes, I download it, upload it to Spotify. So if you want to go to Tryzub Radio's profile, you can see our link tree there, which will then give you links to Spotify and YouTube and the other channels as well. So people who are not on Twitter, that you want to get to listen to the space, you can send the link to the Spotify. It'll be on Spotify, and then it automatically goes through to YouTube in about 20 minutes later as well. So it's available there as well. Obviously with no visuals, but you can still listen to it. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Mylu. Thank you, Shovel Girl, Patrick. It is Hi Mars, Nicolette, and oh, she's gone already. Shovel Girl's disappeared. Shovel Girl still there? No, Shovel Girl's gone already. So thanks everyone.
I'm still here.
Are you there? Oh yeah, there you are. Sorry, you were
It's
underneath.
this app.
You were underneath my mute everyone button. I haven't used that yet. I haven't accidentally used that for a while. So thanks everyone for coming up. On the next space, prepare yourself. So bring your favourite fundraisers, and be prepared to talk about why. Because you can come up, you can stick your fundraisers in the nest and in the purple pill, as long as you talk about why. And that's the only caveat. That's the only rule. Just come up, talk about the fundraisers, and then you've done your bit basically, and then everyone else can retweet them and all that kind of stuff. So with that, let's bugger off. Don't forget to go to David D's space. I hope he doesn't do those silly voices he's been doing the last couple of weeks. Been doing my head in. Don't do that, David. Don't do that. It just does my head in. And don't let any Vatniks up either. Apart from that, though, I really like the military side of things. He's definitely, obviously, a lot more military than me, so I do like listening to the military stuff. Professor Bonk and the other co-hosts there do a great job as well. So yes, this is kind of a warm-up space for David D space. So unless he's going to be late, which he sometimes is, I'm going to close it down now. And if he's a little bit late, you can blame him, not me. Thanks a lot. Slava Ukraini.
Slava.
Ryan Slava.
Slava Nazi.
Smith Verham.
Yay, someone got it. Smert Voraham. Well, thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.